If I can have everyone go ahead and take the seats. Good afternoon. I call this meeting to order. Welcome to our council meeting for April 8th, 2025. In the interest of time, efficiency, and ensuring that everyone who wishes to address the council is given an opportunity to do so, the following will apply to all comments made by the public. Each speaker will be permitted 3 minutes to address the council. Thank you for participating in your city government. Tonight's invocation will be given by incoming police chaplain Christian Ferris. Please rise and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I believe I may have bumped that order, but it's still a fantastic opportunity here today to put that out there.
Okay.
Welcome, everybody. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we are gathered here today with grateful hearts, seeking your guidance and blessing as we come together as a community. We give thanks for the opportunity to serve and to lead, and we lift up our interim chief, John Graysick, and his family, and may you grant him wisdom, strength, and compassion in his new role. Surround him with support and grace as he steps into this important position and filling the gap when most needed. And bless his family with peace and protection. We also lift up our outgoing police chief, Charles Broadway. We ask for your continued blessing on his life as he embarks on a new chapter, and may his future endeavor be fruitful and filled with success. And thank you, Lord, for his years of dedicated service to our community. We pray for our city's leaders that they may be filled with wisdom and discernment as they make decisions that impact the lives of our citizens. Grant them the clarity to lead with justice and compassion. And finally, we ask for your protection and guidance over our first responders, municipal services, and all those who work tirelessly to ensure the safety and well-being of our community. Bless them with strength, safety, success, as they serve, and may the people of Clermont continue to thrive in peace and prosperity. In your holy name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please be seated. Yeah, this afternoon we have two presentations from the police department. However, if you notice on your agenda, one say honor the fallen 5K check presentation. That has been postponed to a future date. So with that said, first we will be doing the swearing in of the new police chaplain. If you come back to the front, Ferris, Chaplain Ferris.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. It's my pleasure to introduce Chris Ferris officially as one of our police chaplains. I'll read a brief bio about Mr. Ferris. Christian Chaplain Chris Ferris originally moved to Clermont in 2002. He currently lives with his beautiful wife, Brenda, and they are enjoying life as empty nesters. Together, they have 3 children, 1 grandson, and 1 more on the way. Congratulations. Congratulations. Chaplain Chris holds a degree in communications and sociology from West Liberty University and is in the process of completing his chaplaincy degree from Christian Leader College this year. A proud veteran, Chaplain Chris honorably served in the U.S. Army, where he completed 2 combat tours, Operation Just Cause in Panama, and Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm during the Persian Gulf War. In addition to his service at the Clermont Police Department, Chaplain Chris serves as a missionary chaplain with the Good News Global Jail Ministries, where he is currently assigned to the Sumter County Jail. He is also an active member of the Grove Church, where he serves as the director of the safety team and as a deacon. His dedication to service extends beyond his local community, as Chaplain Chris is also a member of the Phantom Airborne Brigade, where he continues to perform military parachute demonstrations and serves as the unit's chaplain. In his spare time, Chaplain Chris is a student and member of the Clermont Gracie Barra School of Jiu-Jitsu, where he pursues his passion for martial arts. Chaplain Chris is honored to serve the Clermont Police Department and looks forward to supporting the officers in the community through his role. At this time, Chaplain Chris, if you would face me and put your right hand up. I'm going to read a series of comments, and at the end, if you would, say I do. Christian Ferris, do you solemnly swear and affirm that you will faithfully perform the duties of police chaplain for the Clermont Police Department to the best of your ability, and that you will uphold the highest standards of integrity, compassion, and professionalism in service to our officers, their families, and the community?
I do.
That you will respect the confidentiality of all matters entrusted to you and will not disclose any information gained in your capacity as a chaplain unless required by law. That you will strive to be a source of comfort, support, and guidance to those in need and will always act with empathy and understanding.
I do.
That you will uphold the principles of religious freedom and not discriminate against any individual or group based on their religious beliefs or lack thereof. That you will be a positive role model for our officers and will conduct yourself in a manner that reflects favorably on the department and the profession of law enforcement.
I do.
That you will support the mission and values of the Clermont Police Department and will work collaboratively with all members of the department.
I do.
That you will uphold the oath of office of a chaplain and will serve with honor and integrity.
I do.
Then I hereby swear you in as a chaplain to the Clermont Police Department. May God guide your path and bless your service to our officers and our community. At this time, if I could have Miss Ferris pin Chaplain Ferris.
Congratulations, Chaplain Ferris. Look forward to working with you. Next, the police department will do a presentation on Clermont being the safest city in Florida. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon again, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon again, Mayor and Council. Interim Police Chief John Grasick. What, do you have the presentation one? Make sure I know how to work the clicker there. So I said, we'll do the safest city in Florida presentation. Should be a brief 3-hour presentation, and we'll move forward from there. So I first want to start the presentation off with the mission statement of the Clermont Police Department, in case you're not familiar with that. That's to enhance the quality of life in the city of Clermont by working cooperatively with the community to enforce the law, prevent crime, and reduce fear. This chart here is comparison between us and 4 other cities of raw crime data that we gathered from them. And you can see that we rate average to above average in most of these categories, and we'll be seeking to improve upon those numbers as our manpower numbers come up in the future. I also did an open source search on 2 websites. The first one is ovogo.com, which rated us as an A-, in crime fighting efforts. And as you can look at the map, you'll see we're the only A in the general area on State Road 50, and the other A's are over in Seminole County. They utilize FBI uniform crime reporting stat data and then one of their internal algorithms as well. On crimegrade.org, on the violent crime rates, we were given an A+ rating. Property crime rates, we were given an A rating. And then other crime rates, we were given an A+ rating as well. They use a little bit different of a metric where they use the uniform crime reporting stats, but they also do it as a per capita rating. So as you see on there, 1.347 out of 1,000, or 5.571 out of 1,000, and 1.788 out of 1,000. One of the most important things to consider when you're talking about how do we become the safest city is collaborating with the community. The police are the community, and the community is the police. So as our city continues to expand and grow, you'll see our services with homeowners associations and town hall meetings expand as well. You'll see us collaborate more frequently with key business communities, such as our retailers. We've developed a great relationship with Lowe's, Walmart, Target, Home Depot. We'll be expanding on those. We'll also be expanding our relationships into the hotel industry as crimes are excuse me, as there are certain crimes that are specific to that industry, so we look to partnering with them. Then we'd like to do an annual or biannual clergy roundtable so that the churches within our community understand the resources that we can provide and we understand the resources that the church can provide, and they have a large outreach to our community. In the future, you'll see us increase our social media and website engagement. Right now, we do a fantastic job of doing educational campaigns about scams and crime trends that are occurring in Clermont. We also do Traffic Safety Thursday tips, and we highlight our agency programs there. In the future, you'll see us highlight agency staff, 5, 10, 15 years, celebrations for them, successes on their investigations, and then creative ideas that they utilize to engage with the community. Officer Rappaport recently received a huge rave on Facebook. I thought he was going to crash Facebook, to be honest with you, the amount of comments that came out just off a simple gesture that he provided to one citizen. And then a long-term goal we have is to improve our transparency by including our agency policies on the webpage and then sharing critical incident debriefs with the community as appropriate. There's certain times a year in Clermont where juvenile crime will spike. So we are seeking to expand our youth mentorship with the nonprofits, schools, and churches to provide a positive role model for those who may not have one. And then you'll see us this summer host pop-up events at local parks, schools, and communities throughout the city. So you may see us playing disc golf at Lake Hiawatha, pickleball at the Arc, basketball with Felter, just to make sure that we're able to engage with as many people and as many different people as possible. We also would like to expand on the concept of coffee with a cop to other venues and demographics. One idea that we've seen has some success is, it sounds a little cheesy, but it's cookies with rookies. And if you've been here a long time, I've been here 20 years, so I've heard people say, I used to know everybody on the police department. And how do we get back to that? And I think that was a solid idea, to do cookies with rookies so that they get a chance to meet the men and women who are serving them, and then they can interact in that way and get a one-on-one relationship with them. So how do we get down to the enforcing the law, preventing crime, and reducing fear? I want to take a moment and thank this city council, past city councils, city manager for their commitment to training. I have no doubt in my mind that we are one of the best trained police departments in Central Florida, if not the state of Florida. And the items that I've listed there are either prevalent within the state of Florida or on the cusp of coming to Clermont. Florida ranks 3rd nationally in human trafficking. That's an issue that we would love to see that number go down. I mean, obviously we'd like to see 0 victims there. If we can get down to ranking 50th, that'd be fantastic. Cellular technology investigations, and that's just building up our capabilities within the police department. Cryptocurrency, cybercrime, and AI investigations. Right now, the federal agencies have thresholds. Some of our cases don't meet those thresholds, so we need to build our knowledge base and assets that way. Leadership development will be important for the future success of the Clermont Police Department. As we have several members who could retire within the next 2 or 3 years, it is my mission to ensure that my replacement is ready when I am ready to go. And then scenario-based training so that we can ensure that our officers master the basic police officer functions, such things as de-escalation, report writing, the appropriate use of force, topics of those natures. The councils have also been very generous with us in assisting us with our technology investments. We have the Advanced License Plate Reader program, which has seen great success stories throughout its conception. We've made arrests on federal warrants. We've recovered several stolen vehicles. That's a program that directly contributes to the safety of Clermont. We're looking for grant funding sources for the virtual reality training simulator, which will allow a more immersive experience for training with our police officers. The indoor drones and robotics, we found a gap in our technological abilities during the Cottonwood incident. We had to wait for some of these items to come from a different agency. It would be nice if we were able to have those items available to us, and it would allow us to have a quicker response. And then finally, the implementation of FUSIS, which I'm proud to announce should be on board within the next 30 to 60 days. FUSIS will allow all our personnel to view their different software programs under one simple screen. So computer-aided dispatch, location of city cameras, and that'll allow us to more efficiently conduct investigations and deploy assets. The website you see down there, www.keepclermontsafe.org, is a website you can go and view. It'll explain to you how Fusus works. It also explains that if you would like to participate in the camera registry or the camera integration portion of that program, it gives you step-by-step instructions. All of that is voluntary and permissions-based by the person who is allowing their cameras to be utilized. So what is the crime-fighting strategy that the Clermont Police Department will utilize in the future? Right now, we utilize an intelligence-led policing model, and it just makes sense to move towards a predictive policing model moving forward. This model will allow us to use data to analyze and forecast crime patterns. It'll allow us to strategically allocate resources throughout the city, and it's broken down into 3 simple categories. Place-based means this is where the crimes are occurring and how can we stop it. It may be something simple as crime prevention through environmental design, CPTED, or it may be something more complicated. Person-based looks at offenders within that area, people with similar criminal histories. And then group-based or network would target your organized crime groups, gangs, organized retail theft groups, things like that. So this model allows to expand and contract as needed. This slide gives a brief demonstration of how the model works. So the data collection is the first point, which we would gather through our reports, tips, social media, different open source items that are available to us. It then goes to our crime analysis unit, who can look at the reports and give us an idea of the crimes are occurring at this time, at this place, and then we can allocate resources to that to ensure that our police operations are the most effective. And then finally, we make the assessment of how we impacted the criminal element. Did we get the intended outcome, or did we fall short? If we fell short, then we need to reanalyze the data and adjust our police operations. And then the cycle just continues as that. At this point, that concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions. I did forget one thing. If you have questions about Fusus, you can feel free to contact myself or Captain McMaster, and we can meet with you one-on-one. It's a very elaborate system, so I would take up way too much time to discuss that here.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone have any questions?
I want to thank the, sorry.
Go ahead.
I wanted to thank the chief for his hard work. I think the goal of making Clermont the safest city in Florida is a worthwhile goal.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think that's good for our community as a whole, both the current residents and future residents. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Again, I want to thank you as well, but also a couple of things. You talked about the mentoring, young men, especially during summer. I would ask that you get with a young man named Otis Taylor. He does a program in the summertime. I think we've worked with him before, the police department, but we're looking for some mentors for that,
Yes,
for the summer right now. We're falling a little short with his mentoring program for the summer to try to keep up with some of the young men. So if we have some mentors out there, please get with him and help him out, okay?
Yes, sir.
Also, the cameras. Can you explain that for the people out here if they don't understand what the camera uses or the program is all about?
Which cameras are we speaking of?
I'm assuming you was talking when you say the use of cameras and they can register for that. That's their home cameras and everything. Right?
Yeah. So okay, Fusus, you can operate 2 ways. You can do a camera registry, which allows us just to know, hey, I have a camera on my property. So if John Graysick put on his registry that I have a camera here, all that states is I am letting the Clermont Police Department know I have a camera. If a crime occurs in that area, we would send you an email through Fusus stating that a crime occurred in this area. Could you review your camera footage? And if you see something that looks suspicious, you can then edit your own video footage and send that to us. There's no obligation to have to participate at all. There's no obligation to answer the email at all. The camera integration is more for a business side. I would not recommend an integration on anybody's residence. And that is strictly driven by the businesses. The businesses can allow 24/7 access, or they can say, hey, only during the hours that we're closed, only during the hours that we're open. So it is completely permissions-based by the user, and that's how the integration and registry programs work.
Okay, thank you. And the reason I asked him to explain that because the business owners, of course, residential owners can hop into the program as well. If crime do occur out there, that help our police department help with their speed up their investigation, if your cameras happen to have cause something, I think now they already automatically go and knock on the doors and everything, but if you're registered into the program, it make it a lot easier and quicker for them to access the cameras, you know, so thank you, that's one of the reasons I asked that, but again, thank you for that, and look forward to working with you.
All right, thank you, Mayor.
Thank
Thank you, Council.
I'd like to ask you one thing,
yes, ma'am.
too. First, I want to say thank you for your service. You made mention that you found that you needed items that you didn't have in the Cottonwood incident. Do you happen to know what those items were? Can you get that to us and the cost? Because we want to make sure you have what you all need.
Yes, ma'am. That would have been the indoor drone and a robot. And the Lake County Sheriff's Office was gracious enough to assist us during that incident. If we had an indoor drone, we could have got in a little bit faster. Not so sure that the robot would have been able to navigate the stairwell. However, the indoor drone would have been very useful during that incident.
Anyone else?
I mean, when you speak about cameras, I think a majority of people now have the Ring doorbell, so everybody's monitoring the outside. Is there a way to integrate that with the police department, or is that like an invasion of privacy to do something like that?
I would not.
You know, you get those reports, somebody's walking in front.
I would not suggest integration. I don't even think integration of a residential camera is possible through Fusus. Simply stating that you have a camera on your residence, if you desire to do a camera registry, is the way to go. If the crime occurs there, the practical example would be if a burglary occurred in somebody's residence and you, Mr. Peterson, you had a camera, we could log into Fusus and we would see that Mr. Peterson's residence had a camera. Instead of doing a canvass of every house and saying, hey, no, I don't have a camera, we'd be able to go to Mr. Peterson's residence, knock on the door, give you the information, and then you would be able to look at that footage and see if you had captured anything on your Ring camera. So the registry would be the way to go with that, not the integration.
Not integration, right. Okay. No one else? Okay, thank you, Chief. Chief, thank you. I get used to that. The next item is public comment. Anyone who wishes to address the council, please come to the microphone and state your name and address. This portion of the meeting is only for items that are not on the agenda. In the interest of time, efficiency, and in ensuring everyone who wishes to address the council is given the opportunity to do so, each speaker will be permitted 3 minutes to address the council. To avoid disruption of the meeting, speakers should avoid inappropriate language, personal attacks, and derogatory statements, and direct comments to the city council. Everyone is requested to be respectful of each other, even when we disagree. Yes, ma'am.
Where do I stand? Right here? Oh, I can't see. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick comment for the council.
Can I get your name and address,
Melissa
please?
Lukes, 2127 Braxton Street. I'd like to bring to the attention, at least for you folks to think about, the bus service here in town. We came here today by bus, and we had to leave Kingsridge at 9:50 a.m. for this meeting. And we changed buses at the Park and Ride, 27 and 50, which was fine. But the bus, the new South Lake Express, is very underutilized. Matter of fact, the driver told us that hardly anybody ever uses it. So I realize, and I know Mayor Murray has discussed this with me before, that it's the county that does this. But I would ask that the city council consider lobbying on our behalf, disabled residents of Clermont, that we need better bus service, more convenient. And in front of Kingsridge, which is a community with over 5,000 over 55 residents, there's a bus stop going one direction only. And they expect us to go all the way down to Four Corners, then back again to come home. And that adds at least a half hour to the trip. So I think that right now there could be a better schedule put for that bus. My second issue regarding the buses is it's route number 50, which goes on Highway 50. We got let off at 8th Street and Highway 50. That's the closest stop to downtown. If that bus could make just a loop, it doesn't have to go right through downtown, but perhaps just around the downtown area, it would be a big help. And I know I've been to meetings before where we're concerned about downtown development, foot traffic, etc. would make sense to have a city much more accessible by bus. And I really can't think of much delta cost that would be involved in adding 3 or 4 different turns to the bus route. Maybe it would delay things by 10 minutes, but it would get bus service right here to the center of town. We walked from Highway 50 downtown today, and today, as you know, it's not that hot. Wasn't too big of a problem. But in July and August, we're not going to be doing that. So I realize it's the county, and I would just sure appreciate, on behalf of the disabled people in Clermont, I'm legally blind, that you folks lobby as best you can with the county to improve the bus service that's available to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Farmer Banks Helfrich, Clay Road District, South Lake County. Farm tip of the day, you can take peanuts, raw peanuts in the shell from Ace or from Publix. You can put them in water for 2 days. They will crack open. Then you can put them in the ground, and in roughly 120 days, you will have peanuts. Yes, you can grow peanuts in Florida. Mayor, council, distinguished guests, welcome to April. Welcome to tax month. I have not met one person who likes to pay taxes or loves or even wants to pay taxes. In fact, taxes and death, you hear more associated with any other 2 words in the English language. So what exactly do taxes give us? Many of us drove here today on roads. In fact, most of us drove here on roads. Those roads were funded by our taxes. When we got here, the water fountain right outside, which gives potable drinking water, is funded by our taxes. The air that we are breathing is also funded by our taxes. Our interim chief, Graysick, his group of officers and detectives and administrators who serve and protect us, funded by our taxes. Chief Ezel and his paramedics, firefighters, and EMTs to make sure that within 7 minutes they are at an emergency to take care of us, funded by our taxes. In fact, even in this room, council is funded by our taxes. City clerk, which does not get enough credit, I feel, is funded by our taxes. And you all who sit up here on the dais are funded by our taxes. So if we did not have taxes, I'm sorry, also the city manager, if we did not have taxes, we would not have government. We would not have city, county, even state or federal government. So taxes are paying for government to work. They're paying for our liberties. So with taxes, we get freedoms. A friend of mine always told me, freedoms are not free. He's right. They're not free. Taxes pay for our freedoms. I am Farmer Banks Helfrich. May you all be blessed. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Sin Doyle. I'm the leader of the Lake County Indivisibles. We are going to
Can I
have
get an address, please, ma'am?
my home address.
If that's what you want to use, yes.
That's the only address I have. I don't really want to tell it, but okay, it's 1020 West Minnehaha Avenue, Clermont, Florida 34711.
Thank you.
Okay, we are going to have a town hall on April 16th, and it is at 620 West Montrose Street at Clermont City Center. It is a nonpartisan event. It is being brought together to find common ground within our community. We appreciate that you not bring your R's or your D's, just your personage. We have invited both Congressman Daniel Webster and Congressman Maxwell Frost to get a balanced answers to questions that the community wants to ask. we hope that everyone in our community, well, at least 380 of you, will attend and make it, you know, a nice community get-together. We're going to begin it with the first refrain of America the Beautiful. We hope that that will bring tears to people's eyes, considering how divided our nation is. And we just want to see Clermont not be a red town or a blue town. We would like to just see it be the friendliest, most huggy-buggy town ever. And I just would appreciate the attendance. And did I say it was 7 to 8:30?
7, okay.
Okay, and the doors open at 6:45. And I guess that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mayor, council members. I'm
Yes.
from the American Legion Post 55. I'm sure this issue's been brought before you about the parking in front.
Can I get a name and address, please, sir?
Yes, Sonny Perchetti, 1063 West DeSoto Street, Clermont, Florida.
Thank you, sir.
This issue's been brought before you by an individual about parking on West DeSoto Street. We only have approximately 30 parking spaces there. So we need the road to park on. Why? Fundraisers. The things that we do in this town, city, school supplies, Christmas gifts, Thanksgiving, autistic kids, homeless veterans. I could go on for another 3 or 4 minutes. But all we're asking is please do not put no parking signs in front of our place. Without that, this community will suffer. You know, so just think about it. I know she's been here numerous times. She calls the police on us every time we have a fundraiser. She's done a few threats, but nothing major. So when she does come back to you, let her know that if we need to come in here with our membership, my kids, autistics, we can fill this place. And you'll find out what kind of damage she's causing. We are doing something for Christopher Dillon. We just did a fundraiser, raised $10,000. He committed suicide. He was an officer, 2 kids, wife. We're doing Bradley Link, that was killed in an ambush. His father's coming in. We're doing a 21-gun salute. There will be cars on the street. They're coming from Orange County and part of Florida. All we're asking is just think about the impact that the American Legion has in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sonny, before you go, in reference to that vacant lot that's over there, get the address and phone number of the gentleman that owned it. I think Kirk has it, and ask him for permission to park over there.
Well, the
Please.
trucks are able to get up,
Yeah,
but a car
yeah,
can't.
Yeah, but
We do use it without asking. We should ask.
well, please ask, okay? That's what I'm asking. But I think he has.
Hi, good afternoon. Gwen Chambers, 1332 Zurich Court, Clermont, Florida. I'm actually here to kind of bring the community awareness about a program that maybe you guys are not familiar with. So I actually represent LifeWise Academy. LifeWise Academy is a program that actually provides religious education to public school students. We actually started the first program in the state of Florida here in the city of Clermont. That started October the 16th, and it's actually servicing Lost Lake students, 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. We actually meet once a week per grade, and essentially our class is about maybe 35 to 45 minutes. Currently, we have 13 students, and that encompasses 4th grade and 5th grades. We actually meet at Sky Zone, and the way the program runs is we actually have permission via a parent, because of course we all know that there is separation of church and state. So therefore that parent actually gives permission for us to pick those littles up and bring them to Sky Zone, have a class, bring them back. We also have them bring their own sack lunch, and of course, that again, separation church of state, because we all know that lunches are funded. So if they don't have a lunch, we actually will provide something for them. So the goal here is more so to make more people aware of such a program, especially seeing how we have roughly, I think it's 9 to 12 program directors like myself throughout the entire state of Florida. So the goal is to reach as many students as we can. We actually have permission from the school board in Lake County, the entire Lake County, to actually reach every single student within Lake County School District. So for me, it's all about awareness, getting you guys aware of something that I think is really cool, something that's near and dear to my heart, and just letting you know it's out there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Good afternoon, Brian Bain, 245 Nautica Mile Drive. It's been since December 10th of last year when the council parted ways with the previous city manager. You approved an interim city manager's contract for 90 days with an auto renewal for an additional 90 days, and we are now nearly a month into that auto renewal period. The city is now at 4 months with an interim with roughly 60 days left in their contract, and not even a search firm identified. An RFP was issued on January 16th with a February 20th deadline, and 9 companies submitted proposals, according to the city's website. So I want to state up front and very clearly that my comments and concerns are no judgment towards Mr. Van Wagner and no judgment towards Mr. Suarez and the city's procurement department. My concern is with the council and your all's inaction to hire a search firm or even engage the public in the city manager search process, as well as the absence of permanent, in quotes, permanent city leadership, particularly with vacant and interim leadership positions in the city. Our new full-time city manager, experienced city manager, should be making those hires of police chief and deputy city or assistant city manager. We are also into budget season, and we're coming up on budget workshops for next year. Something, again, our full-time city manager should be involved with. This is moving us forward and leading us into the future. The city of Clermont is a destination for mid to upper level professional city manager candidates. A city of our size and what we have to offer is not an entry-level opportunity. Hiring a city manager should be priority number 1, and it should have been since December. Yet we've heard little from you on it. I certainly hope this doesn't mean that other decisions are being made elsewhere, that citizens are being not included in the process, that announcements aren't forthcoming of hirings and decisions behind closed doors. This is not the way good government runs. And it only serves the personal interests of a few and not the greater good of the city. This needs to be and should be a standing agenda item. It should have been since December. We should have an established timeline of how so the public and really the city staff should know who their new leader is going to be and what to expect. We don't even know the framework of the process of hiring a selection firm and how you're going to include citizens. So I'm respectfully requesting you a few things: an update and action on the selection firm, for you to make this a priority and schedule regular updates at all future meetings, have public conversations and planning for the city manager hiring process, and realize that time is of the essence. Hiring a city manager is critically important, and we need to get this right. The process needs to be open and transparent. This is going to affect the direction of our city for years and years to come. And take it from someone who served on a council that hired a city manager, this is going to be one of those decisions that people will remember about your tenure serving here and will have a lasting impact far beyond your service. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Joe Famasi, 29
93 Jumping Jack Way. I'd like to address an issue going back to 2022 and the need to raise the millage rate. I know some people maybe need some reminders. I'd like to know, does the city have a plan in case of a downturn where there are shorted funds? Because all I hear is the rhetoric coming from the podium is that first thing they're going to cut is public safety. As soon as the governor mentioned about cutting property taxes, Mayor, I heard you say that the first thing would be cut would be public safety. I think that's irresponsible. There should be a plan in place. Is there a policy in case these situations happen? Instead of worrying about a city manager, how about we worry about these finances? So from 22 to 23 to 24, how much money did the city roll over? Not just the general fund. Could you tell me that? I think that you need to explain to me what you're going to do if we do have a situation. I'm talking to you, Mayor. You claim you lead the city, so let's see it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and members of the council. I want to first take time, I know we're in April, but March was Women's History Month, and I missed the first meeting and the second one was canceled, so I just want to give acknowledgement to Councilwoman Myers and Councilwoman Strange. Thank you for your service and representing women in the city of Clermont. That's my first thing. Second thing, it's more of a question. When there is building, construction going on in communities, and those large trucks are blocking the road, and there's no one to direct traffic, is there anything that we can do with that? And I bring to mind the construction that's going on Bloxham. Sometimes there's these large trucks, and the traffic backs up going up the hill or down the hill. And then the worst is Pitt and Grand on that massive development that's going there. There are some mornings when there's no one there to direct it. There's no one with the vest. And I don't know if there's something the city can do, or we can require the builder to make sure that, just to keep the traffic moving. Just an ask. The other thing, Brian covered it all. I was going to also ask for an update on where we are with the city manager. I have enjoyed working with our interim city manager, but where are we to finding a permanent one? Can we get a timeline? Can we find out some information? Everything that he says, ditto. My third thing is, recently it's been in the media that police departments are signing agreements with ICE. Orlando recently did it, I think it was this week or last week. Is the city of Clermont planning to sign an agreement with ICE? If we choose not to, will that impact any federal dollars if we're getting federal dollars? And if we are considering it, does the interim police chief have the authority to sign an agreement without it coming before the council and letting the people of Clermont know? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. Scott
Afternoon.
Moore, Finance Director. I just want to take a quick moment to update the council and the public about two process changes that'll be going into effect over the next week to 10 days within our Utility Billing and Collections Department. The first one is a follow-up to a question that Councilmember Myers had a couple meetings ago in regards to the application of late fees on utility bills. Historically, those late fees have always been applied the day immediately after the original due date on utility bills. We've gone back, reviewed our processes, and determined that we can make an adjustment to that timeline. So going forward, we'll be applying those late fees on the 5th day following the original due date on utility bills. The second item I'd like to update everyone on is related to that, and that is the rollout of a new mass communications tool that we call Tyler Notify. We'll be utilizing that initially as it relates to utility billing and collections, sending out automated messages via text, email, and phone calls to make individuals aware that their bills are past due and that an impending cutoff is coming up. We'll have the PIO officer send out, push out information on this over the next couple days, and this program will include an opt-out provision within it, and that information will be included in that push-out. Going forward, we'll be able to use Tyler Notify citywide. We'll be able to tie it into GIS and use it for notifications for everything from boil order notices or road closures or whatever it might be. But as I said, our immediate usage will be as it applies to utility building cutoffs. That's it. If anybody has any questions on those programs or those changes, I'd encourage them to contact our utility billing and collections team here at City Hall.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, City Council. Vincent Nemec, Clermont. First of all, I'd like to thank our County Commissioner Sean Parks. Actually, I want to give you guys an update. I'd also like to thank Mr. Paul Erickson. He's our Public Service Superintendent. Okay, I'd also greatly would like to appreciate our City Manager, Rick Van Wagner. For if it wasn't for these three gentlemen to help me and amplify my voice on a project I've been working on for over 2 years, all right, on getting us a traffic signal on Hartwood Marsh and Hancock. Well, this was installed last month since we didn't have our meeting on the last Tuesday. I figured I'd give you an update a little late, but better late than never, I say, when it comes to safety. All right, so this light was installed. All right, I'd like to put it out there to anybody listening. In order for this arrow to work, there's sensors in the ground. And if your car is not over that sensor, you will miss the light. So the light will overpass you. So please keep that in mind. Once again, I mean, I got to tell you, I've been fighting on this for 2.5 years. And it is a relief to a lot of community members. All right, no accidents, that's the best part. And I got to put a special shout out to our city manager because he amplified my voice. Every time I went to Lake County, they turned around. And you don't have to shake your head. So no many times you castrate this man, Mr. Mayor, you look foolish. All right, and that's what I will say. You went from a hero to a zero. Thank you and God bless.
Well, I thank you, sir. Anyone else? Anyone else? This is public comment. Anyone in the public wish to address any item on their mind may come to the podium, state your name and address, and have 3 minutes. Seeing no one else, I close public comments. Before I move on, Mr. Van Wagner, is there any changes to the agenda?
No changes, Mr. Mayor.
No changes. So the next portion of the meeting is the consent agenda, which contains items that have been determined to be routine and non-controversial. If anyone in the audience wish to address a particular item on the consent agenda, now is the opportunity for you to do so. Additionally, if staff member, city staff of the city council has anything they want to address, they have the same opportunity. Are there any item that anyone wish to have pulled from the consent agenda? Consent items tonight are items 1 through 10. Any items on the consent agenda wish to be pulled?
Item number 4, please.
Number 4. Any others? Items 1 through 10. Seeing no other, I entertain a motion for items 1, 2, 3, and 5 through 10.
Motion to approve consent agenda items 1 through 3, 5 through 10.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for approval of consent agenda items 1 through 3 and 5 through 10. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No.
Hearing none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 All opposed? And the chair vote aye as well. Motion passes 5-0. Yes, ma'am, item number 4.
Well, I know our staff and we have worked very hard to bring the collective bargaining agreement to a finality. And I just wanted the public to have an opportunity to hear how we got here and where we are. I don't want to belabor the point. I'm in support of the agreement, but I feel like for purposes of transparency and making sure the public's aware of what's going on, I'd like the city manager and our interim police chief to give a brief report on how this ties to the safest city in Florida and where we're moving for the next 3 years.
I'm going to invite our team that was part of the negotiations to come and be a part of this discussion.
Good afternoon again, Council. Interim Police Chief John Graysick. Can you narrow down the financial aspect? Scott Bohr would have more information as the finance director, and then we can kind of navigate it that way if you want, ma'am.
Sure. How does this contract help you and your officers achieve the goal of the safest city in Florida?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. I believe the proposed pay increase that's before you will allow us to recruit the best and the brightest that our Central Florida has to offer. Right now, we're sitting at 15 vacancies. Those vacancies should go down significantly before October. We've also had signing bonuses approved, and we have already seen, just on the rumor that this pay increase could happen, we've seen multiple sworn applications come in, or officers with experience putting in applications for us. So we're excited about the opportunities that exist for us. Obviously, we have to vet all those applications, but the number of applications that came in we haven't seen before this was even spoken about.
That's exciting.
Yes,
And in addition to the folks interested in the higher pay, what are the qualifications, not officers, but character qualifications that you're looking for officers interested in working for the city of Clermont?
Absolutely. So I'm a very simple guy. So all I'm looking for is a good person. If I can find someone who has a good person and good character, we can make them a good police officer. That's what we're looking for. If you're interested in serving your community and you have a heart for others, that's what we want. And then we can train you to be the best police officer for the Clermont Police Department.
And Chief,
Yes, ma'am.
our starting pay is $63,500, right? Okay, so that's enticing, hopefully, to
If
some of
this
those
contract's
who
approved,
wanna-
yes, ma'am.
who want to participate. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Mr. Boer, if you would speak to the financial impact of this agreement?
Certainly. Well, in the context of the budget, the budget, when it was adopted in September, did anticipate this collective bargaining agreement. Of course, we were working in the dark to a large degree. But after the agreement was struck and we costed that out, that cost for year one exceeded what we budgeted by roughly $55,000. Given the fact of the number of vacancies that existed this current year, as we sit here today, we don't believe that this year one budget is going to have to be amended as a result of this agreement. Now, a large reason that was able to be accomplished was because this agreement does not include any retro pay back to the beginning of the fiscal year. It goes into effect here in the month of April, which was, as I said, a significant factor in our ability to do that.
Thank you. Nadine, is there anything you feel should be added? No? One day I'll get you to the podium. Mr. Van Wagner, is there anything you want to add?
Just that I felt like the police officers union was trying to work with us in the confines of our budget, and it wasn't an easy negotiation, but it was a fair negotiation. So George is here from the PBA, and I have a lot of respect for this gentleman and negotiation, and I respect our police officers, and one of the goals of being the safest community in Florida, we got to pay our officers. And having 15 vacancies is great concern to me. And I know we've seen some things in the downtown and other areas, but we can't be one of the lowest agencies in our area paying and expect to have good results. So we're not going to be the highest, but we're going to be higher than we were. So we'll be able to attract some qualified people now.
And these officers gave up something significant in this process, did they not? Or they met us in the middle somewhere? Can you explain that?
Well, first they gave up having the retro pay and just starting in April, and then they started giving up some of their contribution money as well. So they were trying to meet us over and over and over in this conversation. Again, it was a tough one, negotiation. George is a tough negotiator, but it was a fair negotiation.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Anyone else?
We're gonna do a public or no? I move to approve item number 4.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval of item number 4. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 All opposed? And chair vote aye as well. Motion passes 5-0. Congratulations, and I'm glad we finally got that done. It's been a while coming, so. All right, let's move on. Unfinished business. Item number 11 is for final consideration of ordinance number 2025-010.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Clermont, Lake County, Florida, closing and permanently abandoning Omar Street according to the plat of Walton subdivision, recorded in Plat Book 8, page 5, Public Records of Lake County, Florida, and more particularly described as below, providing for conflict, severability, administrative correction of scrivener's error, recording, publication, and effective date.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council members, and guests. John Cruz, Development Services. This is Agenda Item 8, Omar Street Vacation Request. The applicant, Clermont Hotels LLC, is requesting a right-of-way vacation at Omar Street. Omar Street is located north of State Road 50, just west of Oakley Seaver Drive, adjacent to Sonny's. And on the display, this is Omar Street, which is 22.5-foot right-of-way from a 1925 plat. The street is unimproved, privately maintained, and only served the lots fronting this street within Walton subdivision. All the lots that are accessed by this street have been acquired by Clermont Hotels LLC. So again, Clermont Hotels LLC has acquired all these lots, and they're the applicant for the vacant request. The property is slated for the development of a hotel and restaurant. And again, this is the area where Omar Street runs north, and in order to move forward this project, which has been approved in the past by City Council, the vacation of this right-of-way is being requested. Staff has reviewed the vacation request and has no objections to vacating the right-of-way. Therefore, staff's recommend approval of ordinance 2025-010. That concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Of course, this is our project, so but this is a public forum. Anyone in the public wish to address this item may come to the microphone and state your name and address and have 3 minutes. Anyone in the public wish to address this item may come to the microphone and state your name and address and have 3 minutes. Seeing no one, I close public comment. Bring it back to council. What say council?
I have a question for Mr. Cruz.
Yes, ma'am.
For clarification, this project has already been approved. The only issue before us is the vacation of the road.
That is correct.
Motion approved, number 11, ordinance number 2025-010. Final
Second.
vacate
Oh, I'm sorry.
right away.
I'm sorry, I second it.
It's okay. All right, I have a motion and a second for approval of ordinance number 2025-010. Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, roll call. Councilmember Strange.
Aye.
Councilmember Howard. Councilmember Myers.
Aye.
Councilmember Peterson.
Aye.
And the chair vote aye as well. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Item number 12 is for use license agreement.
Good afternoon, Brian Foreman, Parks and Recreation Director. We're here to discuss and submit for approval long-term lease with LCRA for the Clermont Boathouse. The highlights of the agreement: $1,000 a month starting on August 1st. That increases 3% every year. Automatically renews every 3 years without the need to return to City Council, and an elected city official to serve as liaison to the board of Lake County Rowing Association. That is it.
All right. the applicant present? Anyone from the rowing club? Is there anything you'd like to add, sir?
No, it's been a thorough process, and I appreciate everybody's give and take on this. And I think what has been put together by Brian and the staff is going to certainly allow us to continue to provide the services that we do to the youth and to the adults in this community, and hopefully represent the best of Clermont.
Okay, thank you. This is a public forum. Anyone in the public wish to address this item may come to the microphone and state your name and address and have 3 minutes. Anyone in the public wish to address this item may come to the microphone and state your name and address and have 3 minutes. Item number 12, ma'am. Seeing no one, I'll close public comment, bring it back to council. What say council?
Since we have labored over this for a while, I would say we could, if there's no discussion, we just make a motion for us to approve it. And is there any? Okay, well, I'll make the motion first, and then we can do discussion afterwards. I'm sorry.
Go right ahead.
It's only been a couple of weeks, right? I make a motion to accept item number 12, uses license agreement for Lake County Rowing Association.
Is there a second?
Second motion.
Have a motion and a second for accepting of item number 12, use license agreement with Lake County Rowing Association as presented. Any further discussion?
So for me, there were some things pulled out of this. You know, we obviously lowered the amount per month from $1,250 to $1,000. The representation to serve as liaison I can get to. However, the provision, and I believe it was number 13, that does not allow us to, there it is. So number 13, this is our building. We're essentially giving this, we don't have another contract like this anywhere. I think this is important, and for me, if this is not in there, then I'm a no. If this is in there, then I'm a yes. So that's where it lies. So what I'll do is I'll make a motion to add 13 back in. You guys can let it die.
I have a motion
or
on the
not.
floor.
I understand that, but I can modify it as an amendment.
You can't modify someone else's motion.
I can add an amendment, correct?
You can request that the person who made the motion
Correct.
make the amendment.
And if she chooses not to, then it dies.
Correct.
And then if I make the amendment, then we vote on it if we agree with it or not.
If you agree to it, or you can say no, and they'll take the vote on it as it sits, which I'm good
The
with.
second would also have to agree to the amendment.
The second would also have to agree
Correct.
to the amendment? Okay. And, okay, so you want to amend it to put number 13 back in
To
there,
add
correct?
13 back in, but that's entirely up to you guys.
Well, let me see, item number 13, that's one of the items I requested to be removed out, because basically what you're really doing with item number 13 is rewriting the contract. You saying you're gonna give them a contract, but then yet and still you're coming back in item number 13 and saying that we can come in there and do anything we want to the building without you having any say-so or whatsoever on it, okay? Basically, taking any any use of the building away from it if we so desire at any given time. We don't have to give them any notice or anything. We just walk in there and start doing whatever we want to with the building, if you read that statement. That's one of the reasons I asked for that to be moved out, because why are you going to give them a contract and then turn around and basically rewrite the contract and take their privileges away from using the building, okay? You're right. I've never seen this statement in any of the contracts we have with anybody else in the city, and I don't understand why we need it here for that one, so. Now, I do have a motion on the floor. If you want to amend your motion, you can do that if you wish, but if you don't.
One suggestion I might make based on the mayor's comment is, in the lease as currently drafted, it has a 90-day provision for termination for convenience. Maybe you could adopt the same 90-day notice in this provision, that if the city was going to do something, because from their perspective, there wouldn't be any difference. If the city
Okay.
wanted to do something, they could give 30 days notice to terminate the thing. And if there was a 90-day notice to make modifications to the boathouse, it's essentially the same thing if they didn't want to continue. That's just a suggestion.
Well,
I'm trying to bridge the gap here.
I think that that 90-day notice is already in the contract, see? I think it's already there with the agreement. We can go back and we can do these things, all right? That's why to me, it didn't make sense to go back and redo this, okay?
So is the 90 days in there, Christian, or no?
Well, it is in there for termination. It's not there for number 13.
For number 13,
so that's,
though. So, but we could add that in there if we wanted to. Okay.
it's up to y'all. I was just
Okay.
saying maybe that bridges the gap.
And I'm okay with that, and because, you know, it's specifically written in there that the city shall endeavor to minimize disruption to the licensee's activities. You know, we're essentially giving them an entire building, and if there is need for us to do modifications or to find additional revenue that does not disrupt their operations, then I think it's something that we should have open. So that's why this was there.
That's why you want it in there, but, okay.
Again, they've been utilizing this facility for 10 years without this being in there, and we've never had any problem down there. If we needed to make any modification or do anything down there, the city has always had that opportunity to go in there without that. I don't want to see us start to add things into contracts that's not necessarily needed, okay?
So we can go in there now, though, right?
Yes.
If we needed to. We can, no, we cannot. Yes, we can, Christian.
We approve this way, no.
Yes, we can. We still have the right, with the notification, we've done it in the past, and we can continue to do it.
Christian,
okay?
since you're the attorney.
Well, I'll just look at section 5A. So section 5A talks about exclusive use. It says, during the term of this agreement, licensee shall have the exclusive right to use and possess interior areas of the boathouse and areas designated in Addendum A, subject to the city's right to use the outside surrounding areas and its right to enter for maintenance, repair, and inspection. So certainly under this language, the city does have the right to go in and maintain a repair.
Okay.
It doesn't appear to me that it has the right to structurally
Make
change,
changes.
which I think is what 13 was talking about. Like, so that's kind of where I think it is.
Okay. Well,
So you're saying if we could add 13 and put a 90-day clause in there, that would be acceptable? Or would it be similar to the, no?
It's up to you. I mean, I think certainly, even regardless of what the language says, the parties can still work things out if the city wanted to do something. But with section 13, the city would have the right, without needing consent or
Without
approval,
consent
to
approval.
improve or add to the structure of the boathouse. So it's up to y'all.
What I'm saying, what was that, 5, what would you just read? I don't have it in.
Oh,
Basically, we give them the permission to have the use of the facility, and then 13, we turn around and take it back, basically. We give them an exclusive right. So we say one thing in the contract, and then you turn around in another paragraph and pretty much take that right away. That's when I read through the contract, that's one of the reasons I asked that one to be removed, so. It just doesn't make sense to rewrite the contract again, so. I know for a fact, over the years, we've had, anytime we had problems down there, I think the boathouse been down there for some 10 years now, they've been utilizing. We've never had any problem with going in there, doing whatever we needed to do. And personally, structural changes and things like that, I'm quite sure if there need to be some structural changes to the building and everything, we will have to notify them in advance without having an agreement to just go in there and do that, because that's something that would have to be scheduled, I'm quite sure, if it's structural changes that need to be done. It wouldn't be something that just pop overnight, so there's no need, to me, there's no need for that clause.
Okay.
So while I'll say that I appreciate where the mayor is with that, at the end of the day, this is our building, and this lease should be written in our favor. And it's not to go in there and just take it away. That's not what 13 says at all. So like I said, it's really up to you. It's your motion. You guys can vote it either way, but I will support it with the addition of 13, even if there's a 90-day clause on that. I will not support it if that is not added. So, you know, if you guys have 3, vote it up. If you want 4, then add 13.
Oh, boy, okay.
I do have a motion and a second on the floor if no desire to amend your motion. I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor, let it know.
I think you were gonna amend your motion, correct?
I was gonna leave it.
So if there's no amendment to the motion, I'll go ahead and call a question, and all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Mr. Peterson,
He said aye.
aye, okay. And the chair will aye as well. Motion passes 3-2. Thank you. Item number 13 for a variance request, at Kings Ridge, okay.
Zoom in on that a little. There you go. Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council members. Kurt Henschel, Planning Development Services Director. The applicant, which is the Kings Ridge Community Association, has applied for a variance request to allow for a replacement of the required canopy trees with understory trees. The applicant would like to remove 31 oak trees in the main clubhouse parking lot area and request replacement with understory trees. So what you see here, this is the parcel of the clubhouse area. The specific area of the parking is right in here. This is the clubhouse, this is the parking area. That's the 31 trees. This is a little hard to see here, but these circles represent the 31 trees that they would like to remove. The applicant has indicated that the trees are undernourished due to the tree drip line being out over the parking lot asphalt. The association would like to replant them with 4-inch caliber crepe myrtle trees, which is an understory tree. The variance request would be to section 12344, which is the vehicular use area interior landscaping of the city's land development code. The applicant has provided justification for the removal of the trees, citing several issues, with the primary issue of an incorrect tree size in this location. The applicant would like to avoid this situation in the future and replant with the understory crepe myrtle trees. The application has been made through the HOA Association, which would support the request itself. Staff does not have the authority to grant the replacement with understory trees since it's not specifically addressed in the Land Development Code. Section 101-246 of the Land Development Code does require a positive finding on the review criteria in order to grant a variance. Staff has reviewed the application as presented, and finds the application does not meet a positive finding on all the review criteria. Therefore, staff does recommend denial of the variance request. Just, and in your packet as well, these are just the existing trees in the parking lot area itself. They would remove these and put understory crepe myrtle trees, which is a smaller canopy, but a less invasive root system. So that's staff's report.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Kurt, has there been any sort of arborist study on this issue?
I believe
Yes?
they
Okay.
do have something in their packet. Did you have, they have it here. I'll let them present that to you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Council, City Manager, Interim City Manager. I think I've met most of you through the Citizens Academy. I'm Lisa Brzezinski, Kings Ridge Community Association. I'm the president of the Kings Ridge Community Association. With me also is Chris Weiss. He's our treasurer. And Kurt, thank you very much. I was a little surprised to hear that. We did have an arborist come out, and the arborist recommendation is to go ahead, that the trees are undernourished due to the drip line being out over the parking lot asphalt. We have these end caps, and this is an unfortunate picture. I have a color. Chris, can you provide the color photo, which might show up a bit better? And I don't know if you have the packets. Does the council have the packets?
Yeah.
You do. And do you have the color images?
It's the same, it's just this camera just doesn't pick it
Oh,
up
that's a
quite.
foul camera. Okay, okay, you do have them. Do you have the demolition plan and the installation plan in your packets?
They look similar, yeah.
Yeah, one has installation and one has demolition. So what we have a situation where we have dead trees in our parking lot. And these trees are dead, and those that aren't dead are dying. And those do present a hazard not only to our residents, but the property itself. And we love our trees in Kings Ridge. Anybody who's been through there, Bill, you live there. We have a lot of trees, and we enjoy them very much, and we respect the variance, the ordinance. But with this variance, we do want to replace the trees. It can't be a like for like because there's just no space in the end caps of the parking lot. There's such a thing as a drip edge with the tree, and if you have the canopy of the tree and you have the drip edge from the tree, it's not going to survive if the roots can't reach the drip edge where the water comes down to provide the tree the water to nourish the tree. So that's what we're focused on when you have these end caps. Shame on the developer. They put in trees that are inappropriate for the size of the parking lot. And we're just trying to rectify that now, 26 years later. So does anybody have any questions about this?
I do have one comment. If you
Ma'am,
look at the tree- if
go
you
ahead.
Look at the trees in the middle of the parking lot, look at the size of the trees, then
In the
look at the
packet.
ones around the parking lot. They were put in the same time, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
The trees are about half the size of a regular tree, and they're just dying on the lot.
Sir, for the record, can I get your name and address, please?
Yes. My name is Chris Weiss,
Okay,
2128 Grafton Ave, Clermont, Florida, treasurer of Kings Ridge.
thank you. Ma'am, if we have any questions, we will call you back later. But let me open it up to the public, see if anybody in the public have anything to say about this.
Thank you.
Okay. So this is a public hearing. Anyone in the public that wishes to address this item may come to the microphone and state your name and address and have 3 minutes. Anyone in the public wish to address this item may come to the microphone and state your name and address and have 3 minutes. Seeing no one, I close public comment, bring it back to council. I had one question.
Kurt, Lisa,
Probably you, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Mayor, hit me.
First of all, I have no problem with what you're trying to do here, but you said something just now that caught my ear was the fact that you have dying trees and everything. So if there been a soil study or anything to see if something with the soil, why these trees are dying?
They're dying because they don't get water.
Right.
You have an end cap for a parking lot, in the parking lot, and you have a tree. When you have a tree with the canopy of the tree, the outer edge of that canopy is called a drip edge.
Right.
And the drip edge creates the nutrients for the tree when that water drips down. They can articulate
Well,
it better here. A drip edge is defined by City Code Section 123-1. Drip line, an imaginary line in the ground defined by vertical lines which extend from the outermost tips of tree branches to the ground. That provides the trees moisture. In a parking lot, you can't run sprinklers through the parking lot.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure before you put all them crepe myrtles in there, there's not something wrong with the soil because
No, there's nothing wrong with the soil.
I thought they had irrigation in there and everything.
No, the soil is fine. They just don't get water.
Okay. And I do know that is an issue out there.
You've been out there, sir.
We've been through that before out there with around the homes and
Yes,
everything.
you
so
have.
I have no problem with this. Okay.
I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but you had said you had an arborist, and did they suggest the crepe myrtles, or was there an arborist
Yes.
report of what
Yes.
should go in?
Yes, they have actually suggested the crepe myrtles, the single stalk, I'm not an arborist. Muskegee crepe myrtles.
Okay.
Yeah, 4-inch caliper. So we're taking out 31 oak trees. The request is to take out 31 oak trees and replace with the 4-inch caliper Muskegee 34, 4-inch caliper Muskegee crepe myrtles.
And Rick, is this in our packet?
I
the
just
arborist report?
say one thing, be careful about trimming those crepe myrtles. It's couple of people around here that don't like them to be cut off each year.
No, forgive the language, but often people call it rape myrtle. We understand. Right? You know what I'm
I know
talking
exactly
about.
what you're talking about.
It was door landscaping.
Yeah, door landscaping.
We don't have that.
No.
No, but it was my understanding that the crepe myrtle strip line is going to be within the parameter of the island, is that
Right.
correct?
That is correct.
The
Okay.
island width is 9 feet wide,
Right.
and the crepe myrtle goes out to about,
Mold Street.
yeah.
That is correct. They're an upright
on both
growth.
sides.
How soon are you all going to be removing your trees and putting the crepe myrtles in?
As
Do you
soon
have to
as you
wait?
give us
As soon as
the
we give you permission?
approval. It's
You're ready.
budgeted, it's ready, the board has approved it, we're just waiting on you fine folks.
Gotcha.
So I'd like to make a motion now to approve the variance for Kings Ridge tree removal and replacing with the crepe myrtle single stalk.
I second it.
I have a motion and a second for approval, item number 13, is it? Number 13, King, variance request for King Ridge. Ms. Strange, was you satisfied with all you?
I would like to see the arborist report. Can I see a copy of it?
I don't have a copy with me. I
Oh,
can
you're
get it-
reading from the letter.
Yeah, I can get it
Okay.
from door landscaping.
Okay,
Yeah.
I trust your judgment on this one, but I think it would be good to have it in the file, since we don't have it in our code of what should
We can
be
get it, you want
included.
Let me,
we
let
can
me,
get it for you.
Yeah.
let me add this to it, and I know this is somewhat a little different, but a few years back, we actually changed our city ordinance for Kings Ridge, specifically for Kings Ridge, to be able to remove oak trees out there because they were causing damages, some of them dying around the homes and everything. I've been informed that that went back, of course, at the time they changed the ordinance, I was against it because it was only for Kings Ridge, when we have this problem all over the city of Clermont. And I think we, according to what I've been told now, they went back and remodified the ordinance and it applied all over the city. And it's a little bit different than this. That ordinance was a little bit different than what we're dealing with here, but somewhat the same problem. Because being in the parking lot, underneath, you're gonna continue to have problems, it's gonna damage the parking lots and all this, a lot of different things gonna happen here, so I have no problem with removing them.
And if I may, the damage to the parking lots does create a health and, creates a safety issue.
Right.
And we are a community of 2,088 homes, 55 plus, and we have to look out after our people as well as our trees.
And please don't misunderstand. I completely understand your concern, and I completely support the solution. It's just since our code is silent, I'd like the arborist report to indicate we're doing what we should do for the responsibility, because I am not an arborist. And I just want to
appreciate
make
that.
sure that's in the record at some point, but I'm going to vote for you tonight, so you're fine. I just want to make sure that we're setting a precedence of when our code is silent, we're relying on something other than our own life experience.
Thank you.
Mr. Kirk, I don't want to put you on the spot, but you're a licensed arborist. What's your opinion?
Are you really?
Yes.
I am.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
This off, arborist side, yes, these trees have overgrown their space. It's true. That's why the interior ones are much smaller. They're not getting as much nutrients as the ones surrounding. That's absolutely true.
And you're good with the crepe myrtles?
I am good with the crepe myrtles.
Look at you
yes.
being a rock star
So-
today. That is awesome.
Take
Who
that
knew?
off. So yes, we don't want
Anytime
to
there's an
bring our.
expert in the audience, please feel free to come give us free advice. I appreciate it. Yeah,
So-
I'm good.
That's true.
So just to solve this problem long-term, is this addressed within our code now? Because we do have islands with trees. I mean, I know I see a lot of magnolias and those types of things.
Yeah.
So we're stepping outside of our code. Is there something inside of our code that would work? A, and B, do we need to modify our code to
That's the key. If we stay in our code, same exact thing's going to happen. All the trees are designed to be canopy trees that would, per code, would go back in there, unless we do what we call understory trees, which is smaller footprint. Right now, our code requires the canopy trees, though.
And is that something we need to address then as an arborist? Is this
Yeah, as
something
these
that we
older
need to
developments
address?
come around, yeah, absolutely.
Because we're doing this throughout
Right.
parking lots throughout Clermont.
That's right.
and-
This is going to happen elsewhere eventually. Just
Well,
maybe
one-
not
one-
tomorrow, but yes.
One
So
of the other things
can we bring that
change it?
back then, Rick?
Should we
Could we
change
bring
our
that
code?
back and have staff bring that
we're
back to us
proposing
so
it,
that we can
yeah.
address it long-term rather than just individuals?
We have a pretty big landscape code package coming.
I
I
knew
have
you
not
had that
addressed
too.
this specific issue, but I'll propose to put
If you
that
can
in
add it
there.
that way,
Yeah,
it's,
right.
it's just dealt with and you guys don't have to come back.
Correct, yes, we much prefer that.
Thank you.
Call the question?
All righty. I have a motion and a second for approval of item number 13, variance request for Kings Ridge. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Chair vote aye as well. Motion passes 5-0. Good luck, ma'am. Item number. Item number 14, variance request, 3262 Hanging Tide Street.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council members, and guests. John Cruz again, Development Services. The applicant, Ms. Espana, has applied for a variance for improvements made at her home located at 3262, Hanging Tide Street in the Lakeview Preserve subdivision. The applicant had a paver patio and gazebo installed in her backyard that is intruding into the side and rear yard setbacks. Outlined in yellow on the display is the lot, and I'm going to show several pictures that have been as part of the packet. Again, we're focusing on the gazebo and the patio paver area in the back. That just gives you an idea what's out back there. The applicant did not receive a zoning clearance or permit for the improvements, and the variance request is a result of a code enforcement case. The property is under the Lakeview Preserve Plan Unit development. The development standards within the PUD require a minimum rear yard setback for patios of 5 feet and 10 feet for the gazebo. The minimum side yard setback is 5 feet. Photographs of the improvements, field measurements by code enforcement, and the applicant's submittal indicate intrusions into the side and rear setbacks. Since the lot has a rear property line that is curved, it is difficult to determine the actual setback from the rear property line. And again, when I stated that, this is the rear property line, here's the home, this is the street, and this is a estimated guess in terms of the setback intrusions based on what was submitted and some of the measurements based out in the field. We estimate that the paver patio is about 2.5 feet from the rear yard setback or property line, and the gazebo is about 7 feet when it should be 10. A survey of the lot with the improvements would confirm the actual setback distances. The applicant has submitted the variance request in hopes that it be approved in order to keep the improvements. The variance request would be to section 125-520 special setbacks in the city's land development code. City staff has reviewed the application request and find that the improvements could have met the code if a zoning clearance and the building permit were applied for prior to installation and construction. The setbacks would have been identified during this process. In addition, a letter from the HOA would have been requested as well. And in your packet, I know this was included. Again, I mentioned it is a code enforcement case. Mr. Snodgrass is our code enforcement officer dealing with this situation. And again, this is from the HOA Community Association manager. The city has this correspondence, and it does mention that the board cannot support any variance request. Section 101-246 of the Land Development Code requires a positive finding on the review criteria in order to grant a variance. Staff has reviewed the application as presented and found the application does not meet a positive finding on 3 of the review criteria. Therefore, staff recommends denial of the requested variance to the Land Development Code. That concludes staff's presentation.
Okay, thank you. The applicant present.
Hello, I'm Jamie Stevens. I'm the community manager at Lakeview Preserve, and the board asked that I come and say that we do not agree with this variance. They didn't
Hold on,
apply.
ma'am. Hold on, ma'am. You with the HOA?
Yes.
Okay, I'm asking for the applicants, please.
Oh, I'm sorry,
I'll give you a
I
chance in a minute.
misunderstood you.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? Please come.
Good afternoon, council. Nice to meet you all. My name is Luis. This is my father, Euclides Corona, from 3262 Hanging Tide Street. And basically, he did the accommodations for his canopy, or however the word is. Sorry, I don't know the word of exactly how it is. But he was just not aware of how much setback on feet, and as you can tell, the curve, it made it a little bit difficult to know exactly how many feet of setbacks he knows. When he contacted the general contractor, he was not really well explanatory on exactly how much setback he needed. He thought it was gonna be the regular 5 feet. He's just trying to see if you guys are willing to approve it, since, you know, if he can have the accommodation just as it is. Just trying to see what we could do. But yeah, just trying to make it brief, and yeah, I'm just trying to help him out with translating and everything.
Okay, thank you, sir. If we have any more questions, we'll call you back at a later time.
Guys. Thank you.
This is a public hearing. Anyone in the public wish to address this item may come to the microphone and state your name and address and have 3 minutes.
Hello,
Yes,
Jamie
ma'am.
Stevens. I'm the community manager at Lakeview Preserve, and the board asked that I come and speak and express their concerns. Because of drainage issues, they did not approve this. The gazebo was installed prior to approval. It's currently with the association's attorney right now, so even if you guys approve this, they'll still be going after them for not having the proper approval for this. So they asked that you not allow the variance on this.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, may I
Yes,
ask her a
ma'am.
question? Well, can I ask her a question? Is the issue, or both, with the construction having to do with the pavers or the gazebo, or is it both?
It's everything, yeah. The way that it was stalled, they don't feel that there's gonna get proper drainage back there, so they feel that it should, first of all, it should have got approval in advance, and then they submitted the approval after the fact, but it was still denied.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes.
Please.
I'm Cindy Doyle, 1020 West Minnehaha Avenue, Clermont, Florida. I'm just a citizen, and just hearing this, to me, it would not be fair for you to give the variance, because they broke 2 rules. And if you give the variance to them, what stops everybody else from doing the same thing and saying, well, we didn't know? Well, if you're a construction contractor, you know. If you're, I could see that it's hitting, you know, even with the curb, I could see that it's hitting the line right there. Anybody can see it. Why can't they? That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone else? This is a public hearing. Anyone in the public wish to address this, might come to the microphone and state your name and address. Have 3 minutes. Anyone in the public wish to address this item may come to the microphone and state your name and address and have 3 minutes. Seeing no one, I'll close public comment, bring it back to council. What say council?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
For the property manager. How long has this been going on, you said?
I've only been managing the community for about 4 months now, and it's been going on prior to me starting, so.
Okay, and in your letter, you said that when the hurricane came, it collapsed and they rebuilt it, and you had already given them notice? That's what it says in here? It said the structure collapsed during the hurricane. They rebuilt it without approval despite warnings from both our HOA and code enforcement?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, can we speak with the applicant? So my question for you, I guess you could ask to your dad, is, okay, you may not have understood that you need to have permission before you build this from your HOA, and permits, but they sent you notification that this was illegal, you could not have this, but then the hurricane happened and it collapsed and you redid it again, even though you had knowledge that you shouldn't have done it in the first place. Why would you do that?
Yeah, he's saying that did not happen, that he was not aware, that he got told no before the hurricane came. So
Oh, so his testimony is that he didn't know that this was wrong.
Okay.
yes,
Okay,
no.
follow up. I live in an HOA myself, and when you buy your house, you have documentation that you have to sign that says that you will adhere to the deeds and restrictions of that, and there's like 7 pages of that. So that doesn't seem to really wash with me on that, I'm sorry.
Mhm. Anyone else?
Mr. Cruz, I have a question. Because I don't see code enforcement notes in my packet, what specifically are the issues from the city's perspective?
It's the setbacks and no zoning clearance or building permit
For which part?
for the gazebo and a zoning clearance for the pavers.
Mr.
And
Cruz,
then,
can you put the picture up there of the gazebo, one that shows both the side setback and the back property line, please, sir?
That one there.
So the pavers and the gazebo, what about the electrical work?
that is, the pavers would have needed a zoning clearance.
Okay.
And again, that's the encroachment into the rear property yard setback. And then the gazebo and all the electrical and stuff in there would have needed a building permit.
So on that, on this side, so if you're looking at the house on that side, those pavers along there are problematic as well, correct?
Based on the photographs and some of the field measurements, they do look like they're within the 5 yard setback too.
Yeah, there'd probably be a better picture there.
That's the one that I was
Right.
looking at. That's awfully close.
Well, I think the pavers right next to the house may be okay, but that corner there where his finger was just at?
Yeah, this is
I think you're
one of
about
the
2 feet.
areas.
So my understanding is you were the construction agent, or did you have somebody else do the construction? And if so, doesn't the person doing the construction know about setback rules, that he would tell you about that? Also, if you're gonna run electrical or gas to this unit, you need secondary permits for this. So, I make a motion that we deny this variance.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for denial of item number 14. Variance request for the, 3262 Hanging Tide Street.
Yes.
And I just want to say, before I call the question, if you all have any other questions, keep in mind that the HOA did not approve this, and
Yes.
I have a problem approving anything if the HOA is against it. I don't think we have the authority to override the HOAs, okay? So,
I agree that you need to deal with your local government first, and in an HOA, the HOA is your local government, and then you come bigger beyond
right,
that. so.
right, see, and I
Yeah.
think, but anyway, I have a motion and a second for denial of item number 14. Any further discussion?
Mr. Waugh, do we need to state specific causes, since it's a motion to deny?
No.
Okay.
So- And what would be the remedy then? The remedy would be removal?
Removal.
We have to remove it,
Yeah, I guess.
so we need to vote and we have to.
Of course, I guess that'd be up to the HOA, because it is, I think if you remove part of the side and the rear back there, they could meet, because actually the canopy itself isn't against our code, okay? It meet our code, but still, that's up to the HOA, okay?
As I understand it, Mr. Waugh, to the question of what's the remedy, it would be figure out what's going on with the HOA, settle it with the lawyer, and then apply for any applicable building permits based on the final design?
I think they're dual tracks. I think they have to get approval from both,
Yeah.
regardless of what one or the other says, to be honest. Like, if the HOA approved it, it doesn't mean that we give a green light
Different.
necessarily.
We don't give a green
And
light.
vice versa. The other thing I would say is just generally with variances, it is a good practice to adopt the findings of your staff. If you do want to deny and they say denials, that's something that is
Right.
good for the record.
I would just say, ask them to get with the city staff and let them know what codes, what they can do and cannot do, and everything. Of course, then the HOA still have to approve it, but we can at least give them our code and what they can and cannot do. I think we can provide that information for them, okay?
Excellent. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Again, I have a motion and a second for denial of item number 14. No further discussion. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, and chair vote aye as well. Motion passes 5-0. Sir, I would recommend that you get with our city staff basically and let you know what you can and cannot do, and get with the HOA, okay? Please. Item number 15, South Lake Chamber of Commerce.
Good afternoon, Brian Foreman again from Parks and Recreation Director. South Lake Chamber has a lease with the city center, with the city for use of the city center for half of the offices. Lease has 2 years left on it. They're looking for additional space. There are proposals for them to have the space. Those proposals, here's the numbers first. So
In here?
right now, based on 2024 numbers, their rent just went up to $14,400 a month, roughly, just under $1,200 a month. If the for the city to staff, the main reception desk during all business hours is $36,000. During the calendar year 2024, there were 180 rentals, total $90,000 in gross revenue. 137 of those rentals took place after business hours, so either after 5 o'clock or on weekends. $72,000 in revenue, $15,000 for the city for part-time staff coverage. There's 3 proposals. One of the proposals is for the Chamber of Commerce to get the remaining office space, but for the city to maintain the reception desk and schedule the rentals. That would generate, based on all the numbers from 2024, including $25,000 a year for maintenance costs, which stays regardless, about $29,000 in revenue for the city. And there's another proposal where the city vacates the building, the chamber has all the office space, they schedule all the rentals, they staff all the rentals. That generates about $20,000 in revenue for the city. And then there's a third proposal where the chamber moves next door to 650 West Montrose for $1,500 a month, $18,000 annually, and the city retains all of the office space and continues to schedule and staff all the rentals. And I know the chamber staff is here, so.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Brian. David Colby. I reside at 3072 Santa Maria Avenue in Clermont. I'm the president and CEO of the South Lake Chamber of Commerce. And the Chamber of Commerce, I think you're all aware of, we are an economic development organization. We're here to support business, and I think that's the reason that we've had a long history with the city. We've had a mutually supportive relationship for many, many years. We've been in that building. We've been a tenant, just a tenant there since 2017. Between 2013 and 2016, we managed the building for the city, and before that building was built, we were over here at Jenkins Auditorium running that building. So we've had a great relationship with the city, and earlier this year, talking with city staff, they said, I was telling them about our needs, that we are growing as a business community, we are growing as a membership. Our membership in 2016 when I came was just about 600 businesses. Now we're going to hit the 1,000 member mark this year, and we have more needs. We have space needs, we have meeting space needs, and we're looking at our future. We have 2 years left, the end of March 27, is when our current lease expires. So we're looking to the future. And one of the things that was put on my plate by my board this year is how can we work with City of Clermont? I think it's very clear we want to be in Clermont. We want to be downtown Clermont. We think this is the hub of our South Lake region, and this is where we very much want to be. We want to bring people downtown and have a good relationship with the city. So I met with interim city manager, I met with Brian Foreman, and they said, well, do you want to come up with a proposal? So I understand you have a number of proposals in front of you. I can really only speak to one, which appears as proposal number 2 in front of you. We looked at this as a public-private partnership. So I had my committee, my board asked me to meet with a committee. They appointed a committee, Jeff Powell, who's here in the room, Mark Graff, who's a local developer, and Daniel Whitehouse, a local attorney. And we looked at it and we said, well, what can we do? What's going to be a win-win for the chamber as well as the city? So we came up with a proposal. Perhaps we could take that burden off the city's hands. Perhaps we could manage the building as we did at one time. We are heavily incentivized to bring in revenue because we would need to pay for that person up front, but we also have great contacts throughout the business community. We feel that we could do a good job bringing people in, taking nothing away from the staff that's doing it now. They are great, they are friends of ours, but we think we are very well positioned to promote this to the greater community. So we came up with a proposal, which you see here in number 2, that we would be able to have the additional office space that we're looking for, and we could also provide that management function. So we thought that that was a good win-win public-private partnership that would be good for both parties. So that is the proposal. I'm not saying we're not open to another proposal, but I can't speak to any other proposal because nothing has been processed. Much like you folks have a policy role here, I have a board of directors that I answer to. So we were looking to try to advance this, see what we can do to keep the chamber in downtown Clermont, be able to serve the needs for business, and continue to grow together. So any specific questions for me?
Sir, if we have any question, we will call you back at a later time.
All right,
okay?
Thank you, Mayor.
This is a public hearing. Anyone in the public wishing to address this item may come to the microphone and state your name and address and have 3 minutes.
Hello, Brian Bain, 245 Nautica Mile Drive. I can't, proposal 3, I'm just seeing this for the first time, so I can't speak to any materials in the council packet because I don't think that's available to the public. But proposal 1 and 2, obviously I think breaking it down, the big difference is the city is involved with some rentals and maybe keeps about $9,000 more. And proposal 2, that's turned over to the chamber staff. I think it both kind of make sense. I think that proposal 2 does have some merit to it with relation to, I guess, really thinking about that $9,000 as an investment in the public-private partnership that exists with the chamber and strengthening that and increasing that, particularly because as a city, we don't have a Department of Economic Development, if you will, in our city hall. We rely a lot on the chamber to do that for Clermont, for South Lake. And so if that's $9,000 as an investment to continue that, to grow that, to perhaps have day-to-day responsibility for those reservations that would increase potentially the use of that facility and bring even more people and the ripple effect of that to other businesses in the community is a idea that I think you should support and continue to foster that relationship. I think proposal 3, just reading that sentence, those 2 sentences, has some interesting factors to it because that's a building that the city owns now and has refurbished and is no longer going to be utilizing for the inspections division for the fire department. That was a decision that the council made to pursue other options. So that is a city-owned building, and it would be nice to see some use and opportunity with that. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good afternoon, Council. Jeff Powell, House City Architecture. I am at 713 West Montrose Street. I'm also proud to serve on the executive board for the South Lake Chamber. We can, like Dave said, we can speak to proposal number 2 because we've processed that through our board. really, this is a public-private partnership. We are a huge user of the city center through our chamber breakfasts, which are sold out most every month. All the activities that we go into, the other things. And, you know, in the past, the city has allowed us to operate out of that. If anybody's had a chance to see the office conditions that Dave and Shahana's and the rest of the chamber staff are operating out of, they're just really, really cramped and out of space. This proposal would also allow them to hire a person to also manage the events in the city center, as well as assist the chamber staff with those things too. So really, we want to, you know, it's not necessarily a big revenue issue. It's more of a, how do we grow the chamber? How do we help our staff and then utilize that space efficiently, and then also have a win-win situation for the city as well. So I'm also here to answer any other questions you have, and just thank you for considering it.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Hello, Council. Juliana Green, 763 West Montrose in Clermont, Florida. As a multi-business owner in downtown Clermont, I just wanted to express my support to the proposal. Like David Colby said, you know, proposal 2 is what we're presenting, however, with other possibilities, but having the opportunity to meet at the city center and having witnessed firsthand how space limitations that we're dealing with now. I'm also a newly nominated board member with the chamber. So since January, I have witnessed firsthand that we need the more space for meetings and events, but also without say that the impact of the Chamber of Commerce throughout my 5 years in downtown has been tremendous, and the impact within other business owners and being downtown, how it has tremendously made a positive impact in my operations. So I'll speak for myself and the businesses that I run in support of the chamber and seeing the potential for the growth, the upcoming growth. 1,000 members is incredible, and we are all very engaged. So I applaud what this chamber have done throughout the years, and appreciate your support.
Thank you. Anyone else? This is a public hearing. Anyone in the public wish to address this item may come to the microphone and state your name and address and have 3 minutes.
Hello, council members and Mayor Tim. Some of y'all might know me. I'm an entertainer. Played music at the Clermont Art Festival out here a couple of years ago, twice. And I have a band that we'd like to play at this.
Sir?
Sorry.
First of all, I need your name and address, and
Carl.
The issue at hand is...
Carl Ye. I'm sorry, Tim. Mayor Tim.
Go ahead.
Carl Wesley Calle, 34711 Clermont. I'm at 10325 Carlson Circle.
Okay.
Okay.
Now...
And first time to a meeting, like I said, I'm usually entertaining.
Let me say this, Mr. Carl.
All right, good to see you.
Yes,
So,
good seeing you.
anyhow, the
Carl,
tower.
Mr. Carl, the
Yes,
issue
sir.
at hand right now, item number 15, the chamber. If you wish to do entertainment, I suggest that you go and see down Clermont Main Street.
Oh, wow.
If you want to, and if you see anybody in here that can direct them to Main Street. Jeff Powell, see Mr. Powell back there in the green shirt? He can give you the address, and the person need to talk to about being entertainment.
I've been sending emails to somebody named Chris. I think it's Pat. She's downtown Fridays.
Well, see Mr. Powell,
in
he
here, Chris?
in the green shirt there. He can
Okay.
help you, okay?
All right, well, that's it, but it's the little tower down there. Is that a place that you can have, the clock tower, whatever you call it?
Yes,
You
get
can
with
have-
Clermont Main Street. They'll be happy to handle that for you.
All right,
Okay.
well, I won't take any more of your time. I'll find the right people to talk to. First time putting up with my stumbling, bumbling.
Thanks for coming.
Hope y'all see me.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. Anyone in the public wish to address this item number 15, South Lake Chamber of Commerce. Please come to the microphone and state your name and address and have 3 minutes. Anyone wish to address this item? Seeing no one else, I'm gonna close public comment. Let me start off and bring back the council. Let me start off with this. Proposal number 3 is one that I submitted and everything, because we had a building across the street. We're now no longer gonna be using that building for what we originally purchased it for, and everything. So, basically it's sitting there, and I don't think we're gonna have we'll be able to actually sell it for what we have invested in, what we purchased it for, and what we, the amount we spent in it renovating the building. And I totally agree, the chamber, I'm a big supporter of the chamber, and I totally agree they need more space. So that's why I presented this proposal and everything, to give them the bill, let them use the lot of this building across the street at $1,500 a month. And basically, that's all you see, because all the other parameters that's in the other agreement for utilizing the city center for meetings and everything gonna still remain in place. You all should have received a copy in your emails. I think I had Mr. Van Wagner send you a copy. I'm sorry, I just got this to you all late because I didn't realize this was coming up on this council until the agenda came out the other day, and I've been working on this. Proposal number 2. Basically, when that building was built, back in 2011 or so, or whenever it was, that's how the building operated then. The chamber operated the building for us at that time, okay? Reason we stopped it and they're not operating it now is because we was having a lot of problem with the chamber at the time. I know Mr. Kobe wasn't here, and so he would know, but what was happening is on the weekends, which is your heavy use time, weekend and holidays, we was getting a lot of calls because there was nobody in the building. Okay, we didn't have staff or anything in the building. So that's why in 2017, I think it was, they went back and redid the contract and basically started staffing it up with our personnel and took some of the office space away from the chamber. And if you go back and look at the original contract when it was all done, in 2011, the chamber had all the office space and everything because they actually paid us $55,000 for a build out. Okay, but when we went back and redid this in 17, redid the contract, we reimbursed them the $55,000. Okay, now I totally agree with the fact, like I said, I totally agree they need more space, and that's why I'm offering the building across the street, which I think is more reasonable. I have trouble trying to support this because even with proposal 2, we gonna still have to have staff in there after hours because it's my understanding they only concerned with business hours. Okay, so what happened after hours and the weekends and holidays, and staffing, you know, I know they saying they're willing to go ahead and hire more staff and everything, but how much staff? And another thing about the staff that's presently in the city center, if I'm not mistaken, they also responsible for Highlander Hut, Waterfront Park, Kiesler Building, okay? So we still got to have the staff to do all that as well because the chamber's only going to be concerned with the city center, okay? So I really don't have any problem with the proposal number 3, even though I know we can probably get a lot more money for that building across the street, but to be a good neighbor and partner with the chamber, in which I agree that we need to keep them in the downtown, and they're doing tremendous work and growing and everything, I have no problem going ahead and letting them have that building for $1,500 with all the same amenities that's proposed in the original contract that they're operating under now, okay? Of course, we continue to keep our staff over there in the city center. I don't think it's any problem for us renting the building. As a matter of fact, we don't even have a space to rent it all right now because the requests come in so much, the building is heavily utilized. And I know from being there a lot of times at night, you do have to have a staff there pretty much at all times because of problems that come up. I can't see having staff on call when you got people in the building, okay? And that was one of the other things they was doing when they were originally running the place for us. So basically, if there was a problem, they have to call somebody to try to get somebody out and everything. So I just don't want to go back down that road again myself. So, but what say you, council?
I appreciate, first of all, your effort to come up with a solution that, you know, and also the history on this. It brings a couple questions to Mr. Colby. I'm going to ask you to come up because I will have a couple questions for you. Okay, so there's this agreement, And then I heard 650 West Montrose, Highlander Hut, Keeler Center, and I would like, if it's okay with everybody, for us to focus on the chamber right now, because, and on the city center with the chamber, because I think there's other discussion to have, and I don't want to get down too many rabbit holes, if that's okay with everyone, just for a moment. So my questions, Mr. Colby, is the estimated revenue in the packet I was provided under item number 16 has proposals 1 and 2, and proposal 2 says the estimated revenue to the city would be $45,000.
Be a 50% revenue split from what is brought in. And I heard what the mayor said, but we are approaching this as full management. It's not business hours, it's whenever the building is rented out, we would be responsible for it. And that's why we need the, that 50% revenue split. That's going to be able to pay someone to be there during those hours. And then also what I had submitted to Mr. Foreman was working with them to rent out the Highlander, which
If we can pin that one for just a second,
Okay.
if you don't mind, because I'm going to ask a
Sure,
follow-up to the.
sure.
So you had mentioned that you had staff you needed to cover, and so when we talk about 50% revenue, that could be 50% of $5, it could be 50% of $500,000. So there's this universe of possibilities that could exist. But you have costs you are going to have to cover, which
Absolutely.
means your costs are essentially our guaranteed if you are going to stay in business. Are your wagons hitched to mine in that situation, right?
We have a lot of skin in the game with this because.
So what are your costs going to be that we can assume is our bottom line?
So the city is going to get its 50% out of my expense. So we're looking at this as a line of business. I mean,
Right.
I was talking with my board. I mean, we're going to have to bring in, to pay for somebody to be at the front desk. I mean, that's going to be $50,000 plus. We're going to have someone there full time. We're going to have to have people nights and weekends. So we have a lot of skin in the game, and we're incentivized to do that because we don't want to lose money on this. We need to make sure that the building is in high usage and that we have people coming in regularly so we can pay those people. I mean, I believe we can do this, and I wouldn't be proposing this if I didn't have a lot of faith in my staff and in the organization. But if we were to not do this, like, oh, we're just gonna, we'll just bring in $50,000, give the city 25. Well, out of my 25, I can't cover it, so it has to be $100,000 plus. So I see in that way, that's where I think it's a true partnership.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to, so thank you for that. And then you talked about economic development, and this is going to be directed at my council, if you give me just a moment. So I'll get to it in reports, but my experience in the tourism world is that tourism brings outside dollars to your community. If you're smart, this goes to this contract, I think, those outside dollars stay in your community, and that's economic development. So tourism dollars are economic impact. The dollars that stay in your community are economic development. When communities focus on economic development, what happens is the business community grows. And as the business community grows, those individuals who are benefiting from the business growth end up investing in neighborhood wealth. Your parks, your streets, your sidewalk, your landscaping, nonprofits, all of those things benefit when you grow economic development. So what's particularly enticing to me about this project is, one, the South Lake Chamber is the largest chamber in Lake County. We're talking about 1,000 businesses who consider home downtown Clermont, which is exactly our business district and where we want them to consider our home. And I agree with what Mr. Bain said about this being an investment in our business community. And if it was anybody else, I might not have the same feeling. But to me, a relationship with the South Lake Chamber of Commerce, those businesses specifically tied to an economic development target. So we're talking about money and the dollars matter, but in the scheme of our entire budget, when $25,000 or $50,000 in the pocket of $200 million budget is not much. When you talk about the impact on 1,000 businesses who consider Clermont home, if you're investing in those businesses by allowing the Chamber of Commerce to do its job, not us spending money, but them doing their job and creating a pathway for them to do their jobs, that will increase our entire community wealth. So to me, being able to engage with this, to test it out, I agree. Mr. Colby's done a remarkable job since he's been here, and I understand there were issues, 10 years ago. But when we look at the people who are here today and the leadership in position today, I'm going to likely make a motion. In fact, I will make a motion that we send this to our city manager to work with Mr. Colby and his team to come up with a contract that satisfies our attorney consistent with proposal 2 that also includes some sort of metrics for economic development that are reasonable given that this is a test, and that we give this a shot with the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, how long would you want this test to go, you think we should do?
1 year with automatic renewals? 2 years with automatic renewals?
We're looking, for some stability. We've had 5 years in the past. We always have a 1 year out on either side.
5 years with 1 year out.
5 years and 1 year.
So we have the stability knowing knowing we need to perform because either side could cancel in
5 years with 1 year out with an automatic renewal.
5 years, 1 year, maybe it is. Okay.
So I'll second it, but I got some questions.
Oh, he seconded.
You guys left in, let's say, 2016. What your last year as the chamber managing that, what kind of numbers did you have for numbers of rentals, not just dollar amounts?
I believe it was greater, and I think I shared that with all of the counselors when I met with you. But I believe it was north of 90,000.
Right. Not dollar wise, but numbers. Do you remember how many rentals?
Yeah. That's
I do not have that information with me, but I know that the number was in
do you have an estimation? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I saw that number, and I don't remember where I saw it, but it was enough for me to look at it and go, wow, back then, when we had tumbleweeds rolling down Montrose, we were doing more, number-wise, than we are now, day-wise. I was quite surprised by that. I've been a member of the chamber since 1999, so 26 years. I've been through 3 chamber presidents, and I have found the chamber to always be a great place for commerce and have always had the best interest of Clermont specifically. So, I support it as it's written. I don't know that we need to go and change a whole lot that they've already agreed on. But proposal number 2 is the one that I'm going to support. My issue with proposal number 3 is twofold. A, it's a much more valuable piece of property, and if we were going to rent it, we need to rent it out for significantly more. Second part of that is it was built with fire funds, and that's problematic. So I don't think that we can rent a building built with fire funds to the chamber and remain in the good graces of our impact fee ordinance. And third, we do need to look at this property, 650 West Montrose, more towards, is it a surplus property? What are we going to do with it? So I think that's a bigger conversation. But for me, this building doesn't tick anything that solves the pressing needs of the chamber. And so, and I think it creates more issues from an impact fee issue, specifically fire impact fee issue, that I don't want to be involved in.
Well, as far as the fire impact fees, Mr. Howard, regardless whether they're in the building or not, those fees have to be paid back. And as I think we was informed at the last council meeting, that pretty much should have been done already. Taken out of money, funds should be taken from the general fund and given back to the fire department, because once you made the decision that you wasn't going to put the fire department in there, which it was purchased for and renovated for, we had to reallocate the fees back, the impact fees back to the fire department. If I'm not mistaken, that's what we was informed at the last council meeting. That's one of the other things. I was waiting on all that information before I went to look at making this proposal. So regardless of whether they're in there or not, the fees have to be paid back to the fire department, okay? So that has no bearing, basically.
Just for clarification, if we sold the building, that's the way that we could pay those fire fees back. It doesn't need to be done previous to that, does it?
That is one way that it can be done. Another way is to move the general, the money from the general fund.
Correct.
And it is my understanding that we'll be presenting you an option to do that at the next meeting.
And just for clarity's sake, I think we also ought to have the conversation of, is the surplus property, do we want to sell it and pay back the fire funds that way rather than dipping into our reserves? So I'm not interested in 3 at all, and I think I made that clear. So I'm going to support number 2. You've got a motion. I don't know what anybody else wants on it.
And Mr. Colby, I think you've answered the mayor's question when you said that you're going to be managing the building 100%.
Yes.
Is that correct?
We will, for anything it's rented out for, we.
But you'll have a receptionist there, you can
Yes,
take care of that.
Yes.
And that's the one you prefer, correct, is number 2, right? That's your preference, even though you would take them all.
It's the only one that we have processed,
You
and
processed.
we felt that gave the biggest win-win for the chamber and the city.
Okay.
Are you comfortable handling the terms of the contract negotiation with our city manager and attorney?
Absolutely.
And what was the motion?
The motion was to send back to our city manager and attorney proposal number 2, adding some economic development metrics that they and the chamber can agree upon for a 5-year agreement with a 1-year out and an automatic renewal.
Second?
Did you second it?
Yes.
I already seconded it.
Okay.
Oh.
Have a motion.
I'll third it then.
Well, what?
Have a motion and a second for approval of proposal number 2 with said verbiage. Okay, I cannot repeat all that. Is there any further discussion?
No, sir.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Chair vote aye as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck, Mr. Colby and the chamber.
Item number 16 is the fire station site dedication.
Chief Azell's going to present that to us.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. David Ezell, Fire Chief, Clermont Fire Department. What's before you today, it goes back to the PUD that was approved back in December of 2020. That was the agreement between the City of Clermont and Olympus for the development at the site down there. Part of that agreement required a parcel for a fire station. We have worked with Olympus over the past several years to identify a piece of property it has frontage on Schofield Road, south of Wellness Way. It's approximately 1 3/4 acres in size. We have 100% off-site stormwater, so we have full usage of the site. And the agreement provides that when we take possession of the property, it will be fully put out to grade. We'll have stub out for utilities, and pretty much everything that we need will be there, and it will be set to go ahead and put the building on it. A few of the things that I was not aware of until just recently was inside the PUD was language that granted the developer rights to have full market value at the time of donation in terms of impact fee credits for the property. The first number that we got from the developer was $1.2 million for the site in impact fee credits. I went back to the developer, had conversation with him, explained that that we needed them to be a good partner with us down there in that area, that a lot of what they were doing was driving for the need for us to have a fire station there. And through the course of that conversation, they reduced their ask down to $300,000. So in addition to that, taking into consideration the amount of site work that they're going to do and everything else, we felt that that was an agreeable number. In addition, which we also had conversation about the timelines. When I talked to Olympus about what their plans were for development, this is going to be part of their phase 3 plan. That is scheduled to begin next January with an approximate time frame of about 12 months for development before they'll be ready to turn that site over. So there was language in there that required the city to notify the developer within 12 months prior to us starting construction. So we had conversations about that we may need to have a station in there at a sooner time frame. So we added language about being able to add a temporary facility. There's also language associated with that it puts a lot of the onus on the city as far as providing utilities. I've had conversations with public services about, water, sewer, getting electric there to the site, so we're kind of developing plans on that. But I've also had several conversations with Olympus since then, including this morning, where they have reiterated that they remain a good partner with us, and despite the language in the contract, they will do everything within their power to assist us with getting any utilities that we need to the site. And Mike Carroll, the CEO that I spoke with this morning, he told me that he was in process with talking with a construction company to have them looking at that site to be ready to provide whatever assistance we need to get a station up, if the need for that station is ahead of the anticipated 2027 preparation of that site for a permanent fire station. So that's kind of the summary on it. A lot of moving parts. There's been a lot of conversations, a lot of back and forth between their attorneys and Christian and myself and Mike Carroll. But I think we're at a point where we have a good agreement between us and Olympus for a potential site for a fire station down in Wellness Way. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer anything that you may have on the topic.
So this is just an item, a dedication item for the, like an initial dedication for the property? Or is the property already in our hands?
No, it is not in our hands. This is the agreement that will transfer the ownership from the developer to the city. This is just all the terms that come along with that.
So that's the dedication process?
Correct.
Okay.
Chief, if we have any more questions, we will call you back later, but this is a public hearing. Anyone in the public wish to address this item may come to the microphone and state your name and address and have 3 minutes. Anyone in the public wish to address this item may come to the microphone and state your name and address and have 3 minutes.
Vincent Emick, Clermont, Regency Hills. I think this is a no-brainer, a real no-brainer, especially going back and forth to Lake County, that the Hancock connection will be connected. All right, so there'll be more support if we need another firehouse, especially the property. So really, technically, I'm in all favor for this. Not that my opinion matters, but it's common sense. Thank you.
Anyone else? This is a public hearing. Anyone in the public wish to address this item may come to the microphone and state your name and address and have 3 minutes. Anyone else? Seeing no one else, I close public comment. Bring it back to council. What say council?
I would like to say to the chief, thank you for working so hard and diligently on this and getting that cost down. That's almost like $900,000. Thank you for that, and getting that relationship with them so that we can have services out there. I just want to publicly say thank you for that.
Yeah, to put it mildly, I was unhappy when I saw that language in the contract,
Yeah.
in the PUD.
Motion to approve item number 16, fire station dedication agreement.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second for approval of item number 16. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Hearing none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Chair vote aye as well. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you.
Item number 17, ordinance number 2025-012, introduction.
An ordinance of the City of Clermont, Lake County, Florida, adopting the small-scale comprehensive plan amendment for the City of Clermont, Florida, pursuant to the Local Government Comprehensive Planning Act, Chapter 163, Part 2, Florida statutes, setting forth the authority for adoption of the small-scale comprehensive plan amendment, setting forth the purpose and intent of the small-scale comprehensive plan amendment, providing for the adoption of the small-scale comprehensive plan amendment, establishing the legal status of the small-scale comprehensive plan amendment, providing for conflict, severability, administrative correction of scrivener's error, publication, and an effective date.
Okay.
Motion to approve item number 17, ordinance number 2025-012, intro to SPA for discussion.
Second.
Okay, before we go there, anyone in the public that wish to address this item may come to the microphone, state your name and address, and have 3 minutes. Anyone in the public wish to address this item may come to the microphone and state your name and address and have 3 minutes. Seeing no one, bring it back to council. So I do have a motion and a second for the introduction of SSCPA.
Kurt,
Any other?
can I borrow you for this? So these two go hand in hand. So we talked about this earlier. This is an expansion of the CBD, which I'm not comfortable with. As we push that CBD, it's really not in the central business district. If we push that CBD there, there's more people gonna ask. The reason they're asking is because there's already one beside there. We need to come up with a different way to make that professional work. I'm all for professional office
We
being
have an
there.
office land use as well. It's just, it's not around that area, but we could start there.
And the problem for me is that, as Christian has told us, if we approve this and then we try to do this last minute on the final, then we're really overstepping our boundaries. So
Yeah,
I'm just
it's-
letting you know I'm uncomfortable with this language. I would vote against it unless we're moving towards that direction, or however Christian wants to advise us. But that would be a major change, a major deviation from what we're voting on today. And I'm not going to support the other, but I can if we can find that office.
Okay.
What is the difference between office and mixed use? What
They
are we
both
talking
allow
about?
office, they do, but one is in the downtown. You have a lot more allowances to do downtown when you're in the downtown mixed use versus just office land use. Downtown's similar to, like, we made some big changes recently about parking. You can pay into it. If it's just in the standard office land use, you don't have those abilities.
Was this heard by planning and zoning? Yes, 6-1.
It was.
Was this option discussed at planning to zoning, at planning and zoning?
Not this option, no. It was just the requested downtown mixed use.
It was briefly brought up
okay, I'm
as
sorry.
a potential alternative, and I believe Mr. Cruz explained why everyone chose to go this route. And it was approved 6-1, I believe, or 7-1.
I don't have that.
6-1.
Can I get an explanation of what the thought process was by planning and zoning?
John presented it, and I was not there, so I'm gonna let him.
Let John do it.
We discussed the possibility of leaving it under the R3, but what we're running into is the future land use is medium density residential, which doesn't allow office use. So the future land use has to be changed in order to allow office use. So the adjoining property to the east, Dr. Perez's office, is central business district, is downtown mixed use, and we looked at that. The applicant did come in and have a discussion with staff with a couple different proposals, and one of the obstacles is converting the 1,400 square foot home to office, then triggers, I think, 8 parking spaces. If they went into the central business district with the recent parking change, they would only be required to do 4. This is a small office, a one-on-one setting. So the conversation between staff and the applicant, and based on the fact that there was an adjoining central business district and downtown mixed use, would be the best path forward. That would be something staff could support. I know at planning and zoning it was discussed going residential office, but again, then they would have to require, they would have to request a conditional use permit and a variance for parking. So there's a lot more involved with that path forward.
But my concern is entitlements. So
Yeah,
if we
I'm
approve this
sure.
as CBD and those entitlement, and then the next person's gonna, and we are essentially putting the central business district into the backyards of neighborhoods. Right. And I have a real problem with that. So, I mean, I get the thought process and I understand and I appreciate it. But I think from a long term, for the next council who has to deal with this, I think we're making a mistake by just saying, well, this one's next to it, so let's do that for that reason. And I think it sets up future councils for more issues. We only have so much water that's available, or so much drainage that's available into Center Lake. We need to be very careful with what we're doing in there. And because I do not want to overtax Center Lake. So I think that's...
Well, I share your concerns, and I want to defer and give respect to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and when we're getting a 6-1, I don't want to give the impression that I'm just going back and second guessing them. I did not watch the video of the meeting, but if this wasn't discussed in depth, I'd almost rather them explore it, and because this is about, I agree with you, I think expanding the central business district is something we should be cautious with, and it does seem like there's an alternative, less restrictive way to get there. I mean, could we send it back to P and Z to discuss it? Do we feel like P and Z is comfortable that this is the best solution to expand the central business district?
I mean, I'll say I do think they discussed it in depth, for whatever it's worth. The vote against made the same concerns, I think. Not in exactly the same words, but, you know, it was her contention that, and I'll defer to other members of the board who may have different recollections, but, you know, she felt that the best way forward would have been a CUP. Even working with a parking waiver of some kind, even though it's more steps, because of the entitlement issue. That was her concern. And, I mean, I think, I'm not gonna, I guess that's all I'll say about it.
No, I think what Mr. Howard had said is correct. I mean, if we allow this to happen, and then the next person's gonna convert their home into a business, and then, oh yeah, I don't wanna have the parking allocated for that. So I really think what Ms. Stranger said, this should go back to planning and zoning and let them come up with a solution for us then, or let them come up with a solution.
Let me add this. Down in that area over the last few years, 15, 20 years, most of a lot of the homes already been converted over to businesses. There's actually one proposal some years back where they was trying to actually take that whole area down there and put it in the business district. And a lot of the residents had to actually come to city council and talk them out of that. Okay, so there's been a push over the years to try to incorporate that into the downtown business district. And if you go down there, a lot of businesses right around, as a matter of fact, all along there, a lot of the homes already been converted to businesses. So this is nothing new. The business right next to it, which is, I think is a dental, used to be a home years ago, but it's a dental, and this one is right next to it. So I have no problem with it myself. So this is one of the things that's been happening down there and over and over and over. So
What is the city? What are y'all's thoughts on it? Are you in a favor for this to go through, or you are citing no?
When we reviewed it, again, we worked with the applicant multiple times. They came in, they showed us a drawing with, parking around back to meet the current code. But then when fire looked at it, I think the survey showed 11 feet from the property line to the home. And there's no way that fire would approve access to the back of the property. So they did try to do some things to make it work. Then it was also noted the future land use, again, medium density does not allow anything other than residential. So we had to look at a future land use change. Whenever we look at future land use change, we always look at what is adjacent, what is touching the property. So we looked at it, we saw that Dr. Perez's office was downtown mixed use, central business district zoned. So that was like the step process to go there. Again, I mean, I understand the concern about allowing other entitlements there. I think the best way staff looked at it is just because you have a 2-acre parcel doesn't mean you can put a Walmart on it.
Right.
So you got to test fit some things.
Right.
And again, I know their engineer did look at some of these things. In terms of the drainage to Westlake, that's something that's what we look at site review time. If it is an impact, they can always do on-site infiltration, underground stormwater, like we have here at City Hall and Wawa. So there are some other alternatives. This is just getting the step to move forward if that's the direction they want to go, if they can even proceed that direction.
Okay.
So we did recommend approval for the future land use and the zoning based on the information they submitted. And again, staff just thought that the other possible scenario, the future land use, it would be in violation of the future land use if we didn't change the future land use. And then the conditional use permit that would be needed, and then the variance for the parking. Because I know that's something that variances for parking in the past did not seem to fit well with city council. So that's one of the things we looked at.
I watched the video part of it, and the business, from what I saw in the video, it's a one-on-one, so it wouldn't be a whole lot of parking because it's a small business. It's for babies who have hearing issues, make sure that they're hearing as well. I drove the area and saw there are quite a few businesses that are already there, and I don't see the issue. I mean, I see what you're saying, but I see the other side too.
So I have no issue with it being a business there.
Right.
I have an issue with the entitlements. And so if we tell them that they only need 4 parking spaces, well, by the time you have your audiologist and your receptionist, and you're already out of parking spaces. So these people are going to be parking on the road, which you saw that video
Right.
as well.
Yeah, it's
so
very
now
tight.
we're going to have, we are forcing parking on the road. So
Well, from my understanding with the video, and the lady I'm thinking is here, it would just be her and a client because it's one-on-one, so I don't think she would have all of what you're saying. I don't, from what the video showed, again, I wasn't there, I didn't get that impression. I got the impression there would be 2 cars.
And I think what Mr., if I
And she's
understand
only
Mr.
short
Howard,
hours that she was there, it's not every day, so.
if
But
I understand,
that won't always be that business. Once
True,
we give
right.
them that entitlement, they're entitled to do whatever they want
Wanna do
future.
True.
Mr. Bain had volunteered from the crowd to speak on maybe what his take was at the P&Z. I think I'm inclined to send it back and see if there's a way that we can credit this applicant the fees to convert her application, if possible, towards towards just getting the CUP and the variance that she needs. But I'm open. I have a 6-1, and so I want to support planning and zoning, but maybe there's been a shift in culture. And so what's your take on it? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that Brian Bain, Chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission, I think that there was some good discussion about the other proposal, if you will. The commissioner, I believe it was Commissioner May who brought this up as a concern for her, and she was the dissenting vote on the 6-1. And I think some of the other discussion was relative to, well, if that other route was pursued, there are some decisions there that we don't control. We don't even have an opportunity to say yay or nay on because it's a variance request. And I think there was some conversation about whether or not going through a conditional use permit, what are those additional potential processes that a business might need to go through rather than a straight a zoning change. But there was discussion. I think Mr. Howard has some accurate statements about, there was conversation about entitlements and whether or not, this is always going to be a business that is open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that has a one-on-one, and so there was that. But obviously, as Mr. Cruz pointed out, I think he used the same example for us about, well, the site, obviously you couldn't put a Walmart on, but that doesn't mean that the entitlements aren't still there. The other piece of it that we talked about was relation to the parking in the rear would be problematic because of the setbacks. And so in this proposal, there would be those 5 spots in the front, and they become right-of-way parking. So it's not just entitled to then that parcel, that's public parking. So that increases public parking by 5 spots. Whereas if it were in the back and it was entitled, or just that business, that would not be necessarily a public parking, right-of-way parking opportunity for general citizens. So that was kind of all the conversation. So I do think Mr. Waugh and Mr. Cruz and others are correct. It was discussed. I don't think there was any motion made or vote taken to go the other route. And perhaps the alternative, it was moved as presented and voted on as presented. But I think we probably talked about this for a good hour or so, or more, related to these 2 items. So we heard them both together.
I'm hearing a sense of we want to be business friendly, and we're concerned that the current code might not make this as business friendly or as user friendly as we would like it to be. So we're kind of adopting the lesser of 2 evils. Am I hearing you right at all?
I think that there was some acknowledgement that the other route would have decisions that we don't hear variances at the Planning and Zoning Commission. So the other route really involves some things that we don't typically deal with and hear and decide on. We have no even recommendation process for. They go strictly to council. So if we maybe approve something that way, is it somewhat disingenuous in a way to say, yeah, we approve this, but really we don't control any of that, and we're not even going to be able to make a recommendation because that doesn't go through us. I think that was the question of that, and maybe some of that was factored into why we voted on how we voted. Would everyone vote the same? I have no idea. Maybe not, but that was I feel like everything we talked about here today was talked about in some way, shape, or form at the Planning and Zoning Commission, and the motion was made and the vote was taken as presented. If that makes sense.
Sure, thank you.
Because I want to be careful and not say I'm speaking fully for 7 people up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, fair,
Yeah.
thank you. And I appreciate any insight, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I share your concerns. I want to give this property owner, I want to give them a chance to do business in the city. I want to make a path for them, but I also don't want to just sprawl and sprawl and sprawl. And it goes back to my concern that we need a comprehensive plan. We need our master plan to be updated, and we need our code to match the master plan. And then I don't think we're having these questions. We don't have these problems. So
I'm 100% on board with having a business there. I'm not 100% on board with expanding
The
that
central business
particular
district.
land use. So that's just where I stop at. So the only reason I brought it up, so y'all can vote to move it or whatever, or if Christian wants to give us some
any
direction
guidance?
on how we deal with this, but I just didn't want to wait until the final and then
Yeah.
throw everything out
Well,
there and
and to your
people be like,
point-
well, why'd you wait till the last minute?
I
appreciate you bringing it up
And
now.
that's what I've asked you to do on the first reading, so, much to the chagrin of various members, I know. But in any event, I think to your point, Councilman, you're right. I mean, if at the last second on a second reading, the prevailing attitude of the council is to change it or to only approve it as an office use, I would say it has to go back to the beginning. In fact, I think it would have to go back to the planning board because they will not have approved or made a recommendation on that. But in terms of if you all had agreement on not wanting to proceed with it as it is, then I think you'd have to convert right now maybe to a motion to table because that will require substantial conversations between staff and the applicant on if they even want to switch it or proceed and run the
And we could move to high density, correct? That would give the office.
Well, I think his
Not
point
under
is-
high density, no.
I think Mr. Watt's point is whatever we
Right.
move, the applicant's not here, we're not having a workshop, they're not getting to
The
engage.
applicant
Oh, the
is here.
applicant's here.
If
The
we-
applicant's
applicant's
here.
Oh, the applicant is here?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do we want to hear from the applicant?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening. Robert Walker with Burkett Engineering. It's 105 Robinson Street, Orlando, Florida. We represent the client, Dr. Blair Handy. She's purchased the property, so we worked with Mr. Cruz for a couple, 3 months, trying to get something that was, city's best interest, because she is an auditory doctor, which I don't believe the city has at this time, at least at the planning board. That's what we had mentioned. I get what you're saying. I just don't think a quarter acre is going to make a big difference on entitlements down the road, but that's my personal opinion. I'm a pro-development guy, what can I tell you? But she's, she's anxious to get this started. They've already done some, preliminary work as opposed to, just letting it sit until, this is taken up with your
So
city
if
council.
I may.
Sure.
It's not, for me, it's not that one piece of property, it's the dominoes that fall after that piece of property. So if we've already done that, next thing you know, that whole block wants to do it. And then we end up with a lot of entitlements in a spot that we don't necessarily need. So if we can get to the point that we can do it under CUP, and if we need to do some variances, I am much happier for this particular location to do that. So mine is just the entitlements that are gonna come and the dominoes that are gonna fall as more and more people want that same thing. And you heard that, well, the reason that it's getting done is because we looked at the piece beside it.
Right.
And that's
And that's what
exactly how that's going to continue down the road
Well,
for years.
and I'll add, and anybody who watches this who's interested in developing in Clermont, if you come to Clermont and buy a piece of residential real estate so that you can turn around and make it commercial without paying commercial prices downtown Clermont, and that's your way of avoiding paying commercial prices downtown Clermont, I'm not going to support that. So she bought this in December as a residential piece of property, and you want us to change it to mixed use central business district, And I suspect for this price in the central business district, she'd have paid twice as much. So I would love to have a doctor in the downtown business district. I think that's wonderful, but I recognize the real estate play here, and I'm not gonna support that.
Yeah, I doubt very seriously if that was her intentions. They live very close by to this. I get what you're saying. We just thought it was pretty win-win to the city with the parking, and the drainage won't be a problem because they're taking impervious area that was in the residence out, so it'll probably offset most of the parking that's gonna be on the street. So, I mean, she's here to answer any questions you may have, but we're in support of what the staff had come up with, and we're here to answer any other questions you have. And we hope you would approve this.
I move to deny ordinance number 2025-12, intro SSCPA.
I second it.
Okay, I have a motion for the denial of item number 17, ordinance number 2025-012, intro SSCPA. Any further discussion?
Okay, Mayor, we already have a,
I'm going to withdraw that motion.
May I just ask something, Ms. Strange? You had earlier said that if this applicant chose to go back into this situation and do this a different way, that you were willing to credit that applicant any money spent.
I think that would be
Is that
great.
your understanding, or I just wanted clarity for your motion?
If that is at all possible, I think that working with her, given that she was directed, and I understand the comments from planning and zoning, and I understand the comments from staff, I don't want to punish the applicant for being directed in a path that is consistent with the way this council has historically moved. So I would be thrilled for the applicant to try to achieve an office R3, stay in her current zoning and just get whatever variances might be necessary. I don't have a problem with an office there.
I think that what you're envisioning would be easier if it was tabled instead of denied. If that makes, we would have to advertise again. Is there any other procedural administrative thing?
Yes, we're gonna have to advertise for the future land use, for the rezoning, for the variance, so there's additional advertising that's gonna need to be done, and,
So it's the same either way?
yeah.
Okay, never mind.
So, Mr. Howard, you withdraw your motion. I'm sorry, I forgot you did make one before we even opened up to the public. So that's withdrawn, but I guess the motion on the table right now is to deny item number 17, ordinance number 2025-012, introduction of SSCPA. And there was a second, so any other further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
And the chair vote nay as well. Motion passes 3-2. Item number 18, ordinance number 2025-013, introduction for rezoning. So I guess that's pretty much.
an ordinance under the Code of Ordinances of the City of Clermont, Lake County, Florida, amending the official zoning map of the City of Clermont referred to in Chapter 122 of Ordinance Number 289C, Code of Ordinances, rezoning the real properties described herein as shown below, providing for conflict, severability, administrative correction of scrivener's error, recording, publication, and an effective date.
All right.
Motion to
This-
deny.
This is a public hearing. Anyone in the public wish to address this item may come to the microphone and state your name and address and have 3 minutes. This is a public hearing. Anyone in the public wish to address this item may come to the microphone and state your name and address and have 3 minutes. Seeing no one, I close public hearing. What say council?
Motion to deny number 18, ordinance number 2025-013, intro to rezone.
I second it.
I have a motion and a second to deny item number 18, ordinance number 2025-013, introduction for rezoning. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
And chair vote nay as well. Motion passes 3-2. Reports, Mr. Interim City Manager, Mr. Van Wagner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just some important dates. Next week, we have a workshop held April 15th at 3 p.m., and that's to discuss school concurrency with Kelly Randall, right here in the chamber. Also on April 22nd is our next council meeting, and that will begin at 5:30. That'll be our new time. And just some events that are going to be going on in the downtown. There's Walk Like Mad 5K, that's Saturday, April 12th at Waterfront Park at 7 a.m. Anime Night Market is Saturday, April 12th from 4 to 8 p.m. Earth Day at Lake Hiawatha Preserve is Saturday, April 19th from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And there is also a Clermont Fitness Festival that's April 19th from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Victory Point. And lastly, there is a downtown wine stroll Saturday, April 19th from 6:30 to 9 p.m. And that ends my report.
Mr. Van Wagner, I think I wrote a couple of things down I wanted you to address, if you can, from public comment. Can't remember what I did with them.
I had a couple. They might check your boxes. You
Okay,
want-
well, go ahead.
I made a note about the American Legion using the street parking, and I understand that issue has come up at the staff level before, but what struck me tonight when I was listening to the gentleman speak was it sounds like they're having events, and I think we likely have some sort of process that we use for events, and maybe we can help streamline the communication with pre-notice signage or things like that when they're having the events. So I wanted to put that out as a possible solution if you could maybe get with them, because it sounds like it's only an issue when they have events.
We're meeting tomorrow. Kurt and I will be meeting with them tomorrow to discuss that with the American Legion group.
Excellent. And there was a question about how construction trucks are communicated with, handled, how the citizens are made aware. I know our office is on Bloxham, so I have been driving around the same construction trucks for the last 5 weeks, I think it is. It's something like that. And we just kind of put up with it, but I think it's a fair question to say, how do we know about it or what can we do? I don't know the process, but if you could maybe get us some sort of update on that, that would be appreciated. Not when it's happening, but how we let people know before. I think we're probably getting close to done over on Bloxham. I hope we're probably getting close to done.
We do put that on social media.
Social media, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the construction company could put signs out, or if there's a detour. I just kind of drive around until I find my way into the back of the office. So I probably go places I'm not supposed to go, but we get there. There was a question about the police department signing with ICE. That was kind of news to me. Have you heard anything about that?
We have not signed any agreement with ICE as of, I think me and the chief talked about that yesterday. So I'm not aware of anything at this point.
What does that even mean?
I was going to talk about it a little bit in my report, just
okay,
the way that it works.
I will postpone that one then. And then I understand we do have RFPs for the city manager position that has been closed. The advertisement has been closed, right? And we're going through the reviews of those. Is that accurate?
Well, I was gonna give an update on that. Basically, yes, the RFP been closed. However, I guess what procurement is waiting on us to evaluate all the companies and everything. So
Okay. I did it.
I think it's been one of us that evaluated. You just say?
Yeah,
It's
I
the only
did
one
it.
evaluated. As I told Mr. Freddie yesterday, that I didn't realize we had that responsibility to evaluate it. I've never had to evaluate companies before, and I didn't feel comfortable trying to evaluate these companies because I don't deal with this kind of stuff every day, and I thought it was more their responsibility, but I guess what he told me, and I need to go back and find out for sure, but I did collect the data to start trying to sit down and evaluate it, but I guess he said we made the decision that the council was gonna do the evaluation. And
Okay.
that slipped past me, that I didn't know. I didn't realize we did that was happening, so.
And I did my evaluation, but I did it on paper because there was no way I was going to be able to do that
You can do it
digitally.
on
It was
paper?
insanity digitally.
It's-
So,
it's-
so I sat down with the papers and So I just have to transcribe it into the
Yeah,
thing. So
it's a lot of
mine's
work.
been done, it's just to sit down and.
Okay, so I need to sit down and do that.
It's
Okay.
it's a lot of
It's
work.
a lot of work.
Okay, so you're waiting on me. My
Yeah.
apologies.
Well, waiting on me too, because I'm one that hadn't done it, because like I said, I never went through that process. The last time I went through this process of trying to hire a company, I had to do no evaluation of the company.
Okay.
I mean, I can sit through here and read through all these different packages and all these requirements, but it's not something that we deal with every day on a regular basis like the staffing does and everything, and they're more qualified for this than I am. But
So I homeschool, so I'm going to call out the quiet kid at the end. Mr. Peterson, have you done your evaluations yet? So, Mr. Van Wagner, would you be so kind as to have procurement print off for those of us delinquent students all of the, whatever it is we need to fill out so that we can do what we need to do to keep this process moving forward?
So,
You're gonna need about a 4 to 5 hour
Yes, you are.
process to do this, but we're happy to do that. And
I think we need our hands held.
He sent all the instructions multiple times, but I'll
he
help.
sent all the instruction, but if you want him to print out a hard copy,
Yeah,
for
it
it
would
be a
be
little bit
easier.
easier for you to try to deal with. he'll
It would
do
be a
that.
lot
Do it
easier.
So you've got nine,
Because it's like 10 or 10
yeah,
or
so there's a
11
bunch of them, you
companies,
gotta
yeah.
read through all of them, and in order to compare side to side, especially
You
if you've
need the
got two or
paper.
three,
Okay.
there's a
Well,
lot of,
I
Well,
think you need the
here's,
paper.
Help us.
here's where I was gonna go with that before we go any further, and since we're here and try to do all this, I was gonna ask Mr. Wong, if it's okay, if there was a motion that I guess they said we made a motion and said the council were gonna do this, and made a motion to do that, can we rescind that and just have procurement go ahead and do what that's their job?
It wouldn't be a matter of rescinding. You could just amend it and decide now to require them to score them if you wanted.
Yeah, I think they're more qualified for doing that and everything. I don't have no problem, but like I told them, it's gonna probably take me a
You see
day or
in my
two, because I
face.
don't have 5 hours at one point.
Well, Chandra and Todd have already done it, so I hate to be the one that says, yeah, let's do that. I imagine that, in my mind, I would have wanted to rank the city managers. I think that
you get a chance to rank the city manager. This is just ranking the
This is the
companies
company
themselves.
that's gonna go and headhunt for us. That's what we're doing.
so what I would say is that I found it a valuable opportunity to read through.
Okay.
Because I think that as you're reading through these, you see some of their personality, some of their tilt, some of which direction that company views the world.
Okay.
And so so ranking them, some of them I was like, okay, this is great.
Right.
And the other part of that is, it's not just the city manager, there is the additional side that we can use this company for targeting other job necessities. So this is something that we can have an ongoing relationship with this company for multiple use, because the way that Freddie wrote it, that there was kind of a continuing contract with them. And so knowing that, I felt that it was very useful for me to go through that, not because we're going to use them one time, but because this may be somebody that we're going to use ongoing. And so I felt like it was a very valuable tool.
Well, I mean, you can
Okay,
still
I'm happy to
read
do
through
it.
them all, and I mean, I've been trying to read through them by just the scoring, because, whew.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Very, very tedious trying
I
to
mean,
put all
it
that
is, it's a
together
lot.
and
I
go
mean,
through it all.
if everyone is not going to do it, then that's the thing. Are you gonna do it or not do it?
I'll
And
do
If you
it. No,
don't
I'll
want to
do
do
it.
it, then have the procurement people, but of course, I did it already. That was a lot of time.
That's what I'm saying. I appreciate it. So,
But-
yeah.
But I understand if you all decide that you rather have procurement team, because that is their job. They are professionals in doing that or whatnot. It was just like I said, it's a lot.
I'm in the foxhole with you, Ms. Myers. I will do it. I will take it home this weekend if it can be ready by Friday.
By no means would this take anyway, the evaluation of the new city manager is our responsibility. We would do that. Okay.
And on the backside of that, I'd love to see what procurement thinks. I'd love to see their ranking as the people that they use. So,
Yeah, can
I
they
mean,
do
I
it
have
too?
zero issue.
We'll have a
Rick's
party.
like, did you really just go there?
That just puts staff in an awkward position if you guys have a
If
different
we
opinion.
rank it and then we turn around
And
and
then
have them do it.
rank
See,
it?
either we do it or they do it, okay?
Okay, so maybe it's not so important for this phase, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm kind of looking to the audience who, I know a couple people, this is very important, they're still here. is when we get to the city manager piece, how is the public included in that process?
The normal process, well, if we go the way we normally did it, once we as the council narrow it down to our top 5 or 5, 6, whichever we decide, if it'd be top 10, we would look at that point, bringing each one of them in for interview, and the public will be included in that. It'll be an open session. Public get a chance to even participate in some of the questions if they will, and everything. So I think last time first thing we did was we brought them all in. We had an open forum over in the community center, city center, and basically they presented themselves, and the public had a chance to sit down and just go and talk to each one on one-on-one. Okay, and then I think the next day we had a forum in here where we interviewed them one-on-one as a council, and public was also included in that. So public have a lot of input on it and everything. So
Okay, great.
And the last company we used, which I thought was pretty good, and I didn't understand why we couldn't just go back and use them again this year, but I understand when I talked to them, they was too busy, didn't even submit an application to do it this time. But once we selected them, they actually came out and met with each council member, and each council member gave the representative their requirement of what they thought a city manager should do. Okay, and then he went back and put the proposal together based on all our input. Okay, so you have a big input on that. Okay, so I don't have any problem with procurement, I thought, doing it. But either we do it, or procurement do it, whichever way.
I'm happy to do it with my teammates. I think that you make some good points, Mr. Howard, and if I can get staff's help to print for me, then I will take that little crutch. Sorry to the two of you who did it on your own.
Well, Mr. Howard said he did, but he didn't put it on paper, but I guess you submitted yours? The only one?
Mine's on paper, I just have to digitally stick it in there, so.
I know the word was coming out, and I know I've been, it's time consuming, yes.
Well, Mr. Mayor, did my notes help you refresh your recollection of the things you wanted to ask Mr. Van Wagner about, or did I cover them all?
You talked about the construction,
My notes on public comment were, there's a question about bus service.
bus service, I was gonna address that as well, but go ahead.
Planting peanuts, it's tax month. We talked about American Legion. LifeWise Academy spoke. There's a question about the RFP for the city manager. Concerns with potential downturn or no property taxes. What are we going to do about, I think that's a budget conversation. Women's History Month, thank you for that. That was nice.
That's your report?
No, I was trying to remind you if there was
Okay.
something else that you wanted. Utility billing process came up and the traffic signal installed. Those were the notes that I took from public comment.
Traffic signal, well, I will talk about that a little bit later, but the construction was the main thing I wanted to ask about, if we can get with city staff and see if there's anything we can do about it and everything. Of course, it's gonna be kind of hard to control. I know we get complaints about music and everything else out there on these construction sites, and of course, a lot of times when things like this happen, by the time we get word it's happening and get out there, it's already over and done, they moved on. But as you say, we can probably look at any way we can put in the packages when they come in that, hey, they were responsible for doing these things, so.
Yeah, if they could put detour signs, I mean, I'm sure they use them over and over again.
Our RFP, we've discussed that already. The other one was the funding. Somebody asked about, I think it was Mr. Joe asked about funding, and when referred to losing funds, and we cut police department. At no point has I ever said we're gonna just cut funds out of the police department if we lose taxes. But I will say this, if we lose revenue and reduce stuff, and so the police and fire will be affected, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You know, when they consume 63% of your budget, it's kind of hard to get around. When you start losing funds, it's kind of hard to get around them not being affected. And that's all I'm saying, is that we just hope and pray that we don't lose these funds. But far as the question was how much money was transferred, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Van Wagner, it was about about $21,000 in funding right now.
21,000 for, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, for what?
In our
I'm not familiar with that number.
No, not the fire fund. No, I'm at 21 million. I'm sorry. 21 million, I guess his question was, how much money did we transfer, up front, in the fund balance, basically?
1.2 million.
No.
It's across
overall-
the street.
overall budget. The overall budget is, his question was, how much money, how much funds was it there?
From
Yeah, it's about
2021.
$21 million in our budget, if it's still that much, I'm not sure.
So we had, in the last report, about 34 million in our reserve account. According to Mr. Boer, if I'm not misrepresenting, we need to keep somewhere between 14 and 17 million in our
We
reserve
have to,
account.
well, right, that's
So
the,
we
and
have
the
something
thing.
like 14 to 17 million in reserves that we don't need to be holding. And over the years that I was looking at the audits, I saw about 11 million that we had not used. So year over year from 22 to 24, 22, 23, and 24. So I think those were the numbers. I think those were the numbers he was talking about.
But, well, when your balance fund is, the total move forward each year, I think in the last budget, it was about 21, 22 million, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it's about 7 or 8 million, 7 million, I think, in excess of what we're required to have, okay? Which is, state law requires us to keep 25% of our budget, our expenses in reserve at all time. We moved fund balance of 21, was it 21 million? I'm 21, it was about $7 million in excess that we had there. And some of that was because some of the items that had been budgeted for in the previous year had not been spent. So I'm not sure exactly where we are with that. That's why when we get these quarterly budget reports and everything, hopefully we can keep up with these kind of things. Because I'm not one to sit here. That's not my job to sit here and watch that budget, everything. That's the city manager, and he usually keep us in, well,
So just because I actually know this number off the top of my head, it's going to end up for year ending 2024, we'll end up right around $30 million for our rollover. This is what Scott said. So we don't have final numbers because they haven't done a lot. It'll be right around 30. So.
And if we need to
We're in
keep
good
3
shape.
months, we need to keep 14 million.
Correct. Somewhere
So
in
we
that.
have
Well,
something like
right,
16
well-
million in reserves that.
Right now, that's what we say, 14 million. Of course, the reserve is based upon your expenses, your total expenses. You have to have a certain percentage of it. What is it? What is it? 3 months, 6 months, 3 months of expenses.
I ran it at 3
in
months.
reserve. So that can fluctuate, but we have no problem keeping that. But just asking the question, in the last budget cycle, we rolled over about 21 million, but 14 million was required to have, and some of that excess of 7 million or so was due to the fact that some of the things that was in the budget that had not been accomplished, okay, and paid for, okay? So what's there now, we have to just go back to Mr. Scott and see exactly where we stand with everything.
I
okay?
agree. Mr.
All
Wall?
righty, those are things and I think you hit all the rest of them for me. Mr. Wall.
Just a couple things, Mayor. First, y'all just talking about the fire issue and the impact fees. I wanted to advise you that I spoke with Scott today about that, and he's advised me that the city's in very good fiscal shape, and he's going to prepare a proposed budget amendment to allow moving the funds from the general fund over to compensate. So that will fix any outstanding issue regarding the use of the funds and not being used correctly. I mean, it'll be up for you to decide, and that should be at the next meeting. Second, you have, the city, on occasion, made your voice heard to the Florida legislature regarding items that you want to be heard on. One of the big issues in Florida right now with counties and cities is the Live Local Act. And counties are working with cities. The Florida League of Cities is very vocal about it. And there are potential changes being made to it in Tallahassee right now. To be completely candid, it's a very fluid situation in Tallahassee. I have no idea what they're actually going to, I don't know if anyone knows what they're going to do. But you, the city, have already passed a resolution exempting the city from at least one exemption, property tax exemption that is available to developers under the Live Local Act. I was going to ask if you had intended or wanted to have your voice heard to the Florida legislature. It's my understanding that in the past you have had the city attorney send, or at least draft on your behalf, letters to the legislature taking a position on issues like the Live Local Act. So now would be the time, and I wanted to put that before you. Or if there's any other issues.
So on the Live Local, I would like to push them. I had asked that to be on our legislative agenda and got denied. I think it's probably one of our most pressing issues, depending on how that works. And just for you, one of the things that I spoke with our legislators about was, I get what they're trying to do with Live Local, and I don't want to stop that process, but that process should be limited to a certain radius within an economic area, business district, whatever, an employment center, I guess, for a better term. So if it's within, let's say, 10 miles, or because what we're trying to do is reduce traffic, reduce sprawl, reduce all of those pieces and parts. I understand the Live Local, and I think it makes total sense. There's that one that was in the paper today about in Orlando that they're building the next to Universal. And it's huge. There's 1,000, but it makes sense. It is dedicated to the employees who are working on iDrive, and those kind of, I totally get it. I totally support those for workforce and subsidized housing. But I can't support it in Clermont when we don't have an epic. So that was kind of where I went. That was kind of, so I don't know if that's craftable or if the rest of the council believes in that, but.
It's craftable, but I need a consensus, because otherwise I'm just representing one versus the council.
And that's why I was just putting that.
Well,
I
my
support.
cons- you go ahead, man.
Well, I support what Mr. Howard said. I would not personally want to see 10 miles on it. I would rather see it within walking distance. I think that people who need to be close to jobs, like what Mr. Howard is describing, need to be able to walk or bike to jobs, not have to then have to have a car and drive, and then you're dealing with traffic and all the things that come with the car. So I would love to see Live Local go away altogether. But if there is some sort of, if there is a legitimate need, like the example that was given, I do think it should be in a true business, I don't even say business district, because we have a business district, and that, I don't think that that's what I'm trying to say. It's more the example that was given near the theme parks, or, where there's some ratio of jobs within walking or biking distance of the size of the apartment complex.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I agree with what the original concept for Live Local was supposed to be, which would create workforce of affordable housing. However, the way the bill was passed, it's a long ways away from workforce and affordable housing. And of course, as you say, we did an exemption letter for the tax exempt portion, but my concern now with it is, do we need to go ahead and redo the letter again in opposition of the whole bill altogether? Because it's a state law. I don't see where we can just say, hey, well, Clermont, you exempt. Okay, any other city just going to be exempt. I sat in, when I was in Tallahassee 2 weeks ago, I sat in on the session for Live Local. It was in the room, just about everybody in the room was in opposition of all the amendments, and that's the thing that scared me. All the amendments that's coming up, it's really, really making it scary now, because if it goes through the way it is now, one amendment basically saying, hey, I can go in Kings Ridge now, any subdivision, and start building an apartment, there's nothing they can say. Okay, that's one of the other.
Administrative approval
Right.
is what they're talking about.
Right. See. Right.
Takes it out of your hands.
Yeah, it takes it out of our hand. It takes everything away. Right now, the way Live Local is written, it has to be commercial, industrial, or mixed-use property. But basically, they taking all those restrictions and saying any property, no matter what it's zoned. Okay, so they can go inside subdivisions anywhere and start building all these apartments and everything is nothing. Another one of the amendments is basically saying that where right now they have to have 70 units to qualify under the Live Local, they're removing the 70 and saying just one unit. they can qualify as live local, and then they can get the tax exempt, okay?
Well, that's
It's so many,
inappropriate.
it's about 5 or 6 amendments there, and like I say, I said in the session when we went up there in Tallahassee last week, week before last, that's one of the sessions I sat in on, and then the whole room, I guess there was maybe 3 or 4 people in the whole chamber that was in for it, and everybody else was in opposition. And the sad part about it is, out of the 15 representatives on the committee, every one of them spoke to the issues and the amendments, and every one of them has negative things to say about all these amendments. But when it came for the vote, every one of them voted yes, except for one. And everybody in the room just, I couldn't believe it, you know, and everything. So, I mean, like I say, I believed in the original concept of the fact we do need to do something about affordable housing, workforce housing in the state, throughout the state. But what this bill has done is taken all the controls out of our hand, and it's nowhere near affordable when you can look at the formula, which we're getting ready to fight one right here in Clermont, which is, I think it may be tied up somewhere. I'm not sure where it's at. But out there right behind McKinney Park, they're looking to put 200 and something apartments out there. And basically, when we had a meeting with the community as they had required, the basic guy looked at it and said, hey, we're not asking the city for nothing. We're going to do whatever we want. Of course, our thing is the fact that he asked him for 280, and we saying you can't use the 24 per acre because our ordinance say you can only use 16. Under Live Local, it say you can use the highest density rate in the city, okay, when you do your calculation. Our highest density rate in the city used to be downtown, 25 units per acre. But when the law came out, we turned around and we changed it to 16. Of course, his project is coming in using 24. And we saying it doesn't fit Live Local because you're using 24 and not 16. Of course,
Right.
he's fighting saying you changed it after the law passed. I don't care, you submitted it after we changed the ordinance, okay? And there's another thing in that ordinance that scared me because I'm still looking for a real ruling on it, is the fact that they can use the highest, tallest building in your city for the height.
Yeah.
So what's the tallest building in Clermont?
Citrus Tower.
They can build as high as Citrus Tower. Now, some of the lawyers saying, well, they think it only a 1 or 2 mile radius around it, but some people saying no. So I've never gotten a clear ruling on all that. But my thing is, we did the opposition for the tax exempt, but and the way this law is, the amendments they're doing right now, trust me, city's not gonna have a chance, okay? It's taking all the control out of our hands. They can use basically, and they take, doesn't matter what zoning you're in right now, what the property zone for, they can use this. As long as they're not asking the city for any variances, nothing we can say, okay? You need, and I know I asked at the last council meeting, and I asked you all to kind of look at some of these ordinances and these proposals, they doing up there, and look at these, and this is one. I know I talked to Mr. Ward the other day, he told me about it, and I know he has some concern, I have some concern, the whole state, everybody in the state has some concern. The room was packed because that's one of the biggest ones that everybody wanted to attend up there, that Live Locals, and opposition after opposition after opposition came in, and it didn't
And
do
they
any
still
good.
voted for it.
What I'm hearing is, a general favor of the policy goal, which was affordable housing, and improving that situation, but that the means needs to be, that it's not working for the city.
No, it's not working for the city.
And that's the whole thing is, let's just at least give them an option and say, hey, we support where you're going. This would solve a lot of problems for a lot of places, not just us. But, you look at Christopher C. Ford Park. Maybe that's a smart place to have it because that's an employment center. So, and sorry to Groveland, but that's probably not the worst place to have it. Mineola's putting in an industrial park. Maybe that's a good place for it to reduce those traffic issues. But to place one on 27 with no employment center anywhere near it is really just a
And I
horrible
doubt they're
decision.
interested in our opinion on how it applies in Miami Beach or,
Exactly.
you
That's
know
what
what
I
I
said,
mean.
is
But
that-
certainly speaking on behalf of Clermont, that's what they want to hear from you about.
So,
Or not, I don't
we've
know.
just got to figure out if there is an easy fix for semi-rural, whatever we
I
are.
think if we can figure out a way to tie it to available jobs within a radius of the site, that might be the type of formula that I'm seeing in these amendments, that they seem to be looking for formulas, they seem to be looking for ways to if you do this, then that, and they're looking for a math equation for humanity. And so if we say, okay, there's so many jobs available within a half a mile of the site, well, then that's walking distance and that's biking distance. And okay, within half a mile, are there, I don't know what the number is, but is it, 50 jobs per apartment? Is it 20 jobs per apartment? Something that allows a formula.
Well, here's the thing, is it's not tied, the whole bill isn't tied into jobs or anything else. It's just tied into property. I don't care. Basically, for example, the one that came before us, who haven't come before us yet, that I went into community meeting with, basically 280 apartments. We look at them and say, what's the formula? Because inside that law, it's a formula saying you have to use the AMI, average mean and medium income. And guess what, in that formula, guess what the average medium income for the Clermont is? $84,000.
Really?
84. And then you have to take that and multiply it 120 by 120%, which come out 100,000. Then you break it back down to 30%. So one bedroom apartment is over $1,900 a month.
That's not affordable.
Oh, that's not affordable. Okay. And the thing is, the key is, it's not affordable, but yet and still, as long as I designate so many apartments at that rate, according to that formula, I can get this tax exempt. And it used to be 70 apartments. Now with the amendment, it's only be one apartment, and everything else can be any price they want.
Well,
Okay?
and then I think the question on the policy is, are we looking for affordable housing? Are we looking for workforce housing? Because if it's workforce, you can tie it to the work, to the work, so that you have a workforce housing for the work. And that's my understanding of how it originated.
Well,
So it's
that's what it was
affordable
supposed to be,
workforce housing.
Affordable housing, but the way
Yeah.
the bill was written and what they're doing is nowhere near workforce and affordable housing. That's
Exactly.
why the whole bill need to just be rescinded.
Yeah.
So we
We
just kind of
can
need
throw
to
it out
give,
and start over.
we got to give Christian some
Yeah.
direction
give him
on.
direction.
Well, I know we can
that we're
just do it,
opposing.
have him
Yeah.
draft the letter in opposition of it. Now, where it's gonna go, we don't know. We've done these things before. Not only that, but any other proposal out there that they talking about, which is another one, we probably need to be looking at.
The property tax?
Is the enterprise fund.
Oh, enterprise too, yeah.
Well, enterprise,
that's in
it's just several different.
Yeah,
proposals
that
out
property
there.
tax one is
Property
really.
tax, well, I can't even get in that, but the enterprise fund, basically what they're trying to do with that is limit us to 10%, which I have no
To
problem with
switch.
only transferring 10% from general, for the enterprise fund. But at the same time, another, leg of that is saying, okay, Magnolia Point, which is out in the county, we providing service right now, we can charge them 25% extra for the
Right.
service. But if they pass this new enterprise, this new bill, basically that goes away.
yep.
So we can provide all this, service to people outside the city, and we can't charge them any extra.
Nope.
And everything, see?
I agree with that.
So there's a lot of, yeah.
I agree that's a problem.
That's the
If you want to
problem,
put that in the
know.
letter, I support
mean,
that.
it's just,
Something else that a lot of cities are weighing in on is the possible abolition of CRAs.
See,
Now,
oh,
this
that
is
too.
something, now this
Yeah,
is
that too
something
is a
that
lot.
has been on the Florida legislature wish list for a long time. You
Right.
know, that it's constantly brought up. The idea, their explanation, well, one of the issues with some CRAs, not the majority of them, is CRAs often voting to allocate monies to friends of people on the CRA. There has been some documented corruption with certain CRAs. There's a huge 200-page report about it that the legislature gets. So that's what they're seeing, but they've never voted for this. I do hear they're talking about it again.
well, it's,
So-
and I'm, be honest with you, when I was up in Tallahassee, they telling me it's a good chance it's gonna go through.
I heard it's gonna go through.
Basically, it's gonna do away with CRAs, but, basically, I think it's saying that you can't even start any other, if they pass it, you can't start any more projects under the CRA, but the whole CRA won't go away for 10, 20 years or
Yeah,
something
that's
like
the
that.
compromise
I mean,
that's being-
it's a lot of little,
I'll tell you on the flip side, just the flip side of the CRAs is that take your disposition of any property that's in a CRA. First, you declare it surplus, but under the statute, there's a whole list of procedures, and we're working on codifying this for you, but get a broker price opinion and this and that, and it makes it much more difficult. Any property that you own in the CRA, it's a lot more difficult to it's not that you can't, it's just there's a lot more hoops. So it is something that can slow down the machinery. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it ensures review. It's just something, but if y'all have a position on that, we can represent that as well.
Okay.
I would just suggest, if you haven't looked at the CRA, the enterprise fund, and what was the other one?
Property tax.
Right, well, property tax, That's scary too, because if
Yeah.
property tax go away, well, that
We're
will
really
create,
in trouble.
The question we had about earlier about everything be affected, because 20-something million of our budget come from, our fundings come from property tax.
What's the likelihood of that actually happening? I mean,
I have no idea.
I would be shocked. I would just be shocked. I could see a property tax on homestead property, maybe that people have owned for 10 years, some sort of, but I would, too many counties and business and cities rely on property taxes for me to really take that one.
That's
But
what
when
I
people are
said.
motivated.
Well, what even made them bring it up? That's what I don't understand, but see,
Oh,
here's the
politics.
problem I'm afraid
Yeah,
of.
politics, yeah.
Here's the problem I'm afraid
That's
of.
easy.
If they keep pushing it, it's not gonna be up to the legislators. It's
It's
gonna
be up to the voters.
And
That's
if
where
it
they're
goes
gonna.
on that ballot, I
People gonna vote
guarantee
for
you,
it.
People gonna
Well, I
vote for
can
They're
throw
gonna
in a
vote for it.
sentence that says, hey, by the way, just a reminder, the city budget depends on property taxes.
So if you want your services, you might want to keep.
Well, here's the, back to the original question, do we want him to propose, draft up a letter in
Yes.
opposition of?
Yes.
I know live local, I'm good with that one. I think we need to oppose the, interfunds,
Enterprise.
the CRA,
Mm-hmm,
property taxes,
Yeah.
I mean, all of it really,
Yeah.
but that's up to council.
But I'm not sure that's up to Christian to be doing all of those. I mean, we already have paid lobbyists. It's,
Well, basically what he does, and we've done this in the past, he draft a letter, we all agree with the letter, and of course, and me as the mayor, I end up having to sign it and send it off, okay?
Can you put 4 items on there? Is that too many?
Oh, it doesn't matter, it's up to you, of course.
I'm happy with the 4 that the mayor.
I'm happy with that too.
If you have a consensus, I'll do it.
That's fine.
Yes.
Okay. So the next item on my report was, I wanted to talk to you briefly about the ICE agreements.
Oh,
I think
yes.
that's important, maybe
Yes.
for y'all to know something about, and that is, there is federal legislation, and they call it Section 287G. So, what that section does is it empowers INS to, it empowers ICE to enter into agreements with state and local governments to delegate authority from ICE to state and local law enforcement agencies to do certain things. Not everything, but certain detention functions, identification functions, warrant functions, and you can pick and choose when you work an agreement like that out. But in any event, that's the federal enabling legislation. In President Trump's first term, he signed an executive order that requested those to be executed. Like they were seeking partners in state and local government to do it. And when President Biden became president, that order was rescinded. It is now back in effect. And with it being back in effect, many of these agreements have been executed. They are usually executed at the law enforcement agency level directly. In Orlando, they took the position that the city, I don't know if it's a council or commission, but the city itself wouldn't be able to override the police chief. That if the police chief enters into the agreement on behalf of the agency, under the statute and executive order, that was the prerogative of the police chief. Now, there is precedent for that in Florida. There is a statute that says under interlocal agreements, you can contract directly with the law enforcement agency, not the city council level, to work together on agency enforcement matters. And we have agreements like that in Clermont that you didn't approve, but that your police chief did. In any event, some of this is still subject to review. I can't advise you that necessarily all of that you couldn't override, but the governor has also issued an executive order on this for the state agencies. They have now entered it. A lot of local agencies are falling into line, and there is some federal funding that can support, but there's also some funding that would have to come from the city when it, if it did actually work with the federal government on these things. So that's kind of where it stands. If you want to learn more, I can talk to you about it, but okay? The next item is we have been approached for, and you know this because you've referred some of these things to me, investigations, actions, people wanting the city to do something, whether it's code enforcement or do another inspection. Sometimes they're not happy with the decisions that are made by staff. I just want to tell you briefly that, You know, the way that the city exercises its authority is, the authority is called a police power. So the city exercises its police power when it inspects something. And the example I always use is, there's a case from down in Miami where an inspection was performed. It wasn't a good city inspection. Some wiring didn't work out. The house burned down. The owner sued the city because they said, you should have caught this on the inspection. The city was insulated. It was immune because how it exercises its police power is essentially immune from review. So I just wanted you to know there's going to be some discussions in the future coming up in the next few weeks where you'll hear that we're having these discussions with people, and they may not be happy with staff decisions on things, but they're not necessarily subject for debate once the staff has made a decision on things. I'm forewarning that's coming. Finally, we had a huge triumph in the history of the world last night. The great Gator Nation won the men's basketball championship. Congratulations, all Gators. Thank you.
Go Gators.
Oh, that was a great end.
Yes,
to the
ma'am.
report. I'm happy to report that this morning the Board of County Commissioners unanimously approved my position on the TDC. So that is taken care of and resolved. Thank you. I did go to the meeting yesterday, and the Lake County is up 8% year over year as of Q2 of 2025. So that's good. The collections are good. And the strategic plan is in review by the county attorney and the Board of County Commissioners, and it's in final edit process, and it should come to the TDC at the next meeting, which possibly could be a special meeting before the July meeting. Otherwise, the regular meeting is scheduled for July. And so there are some capital projects in that. There are some strategic targeted events, and kind of endurance sports is one. Water sports is one, softball is one. So there's just kind of different things. When I get that, I'll send it out to everybody so that you can see it. But that is exciting news on the tourism front.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Howard.
No report.
Councilmember Myers.
Good evening. I had the privilege of scoring, but it's not that one, it's another one. The scholarship applications for Pig on the Pond. And I also went to Tallahassee for Capitol Days, where I had the privilege of attending committee hearings as the guest of our Honorable Representative Taylor Yarsky. I also attended the farewell for Czech Broadway. And April is Military Child Month, so if you know any military kids, say something encouraging to them, please. April is also Volunteer Month. And I know we don't have a lot of people here right now, but we do have some volunteers here that volunteer in our city. I would love for you all to stand just to recognize you all. Thank you for your service, because you do not have to do that. You don't get paid. You come because you love this city and you want this city to be better. And I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you. I wish I could give you some money, but I can't. So, but
yes,
I thank
you
you for your time and your service and dedication to our city. Thank you.
Mr. Peterson.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Chief Azzelli. He sent me the pictures of the first ambulance that we're in the process, I think, of getting the logos on it. So kudos to him on getting this done as rapidly as that possible. Secondly, I've been getting a lot of emails, a lot of things about the no parking situation. And I think, you can understand both sides. So I think, I kind of drafted a little proposal. I think we should do a thorough and safety review by Public Works and CPD to see what they can do as a viable, permanent, no parking, permanent, like, let's say, semi-permanent no parking. And we want to be impartial on this, because I understand the American Legion has need, but they don't have need to envelop people's front yards either. So we have to work together. And we want to think of it as a battle, not between the residents and the organization. This is the moment we need to come together as Clermont, right? And we need to develop some kind of sense of unity within the community. And I just want to thank everybody for all their voices. And, you know, we're gonna try to work together as a council for the full crowd that's out there right now that's screaming and yelling about this. But I just want to thank you for their, and let them know that we are listening to them. Thank you.
Thank you. And now for my report, of course, I think we talked about the construction and go along with what Miss Maria was saying. It's also Autism Month, okay? Of course, the color for autism is blue. So every chance I get this month, I'll be wearing color blue.
Artisanal month? Is that what you said?
Yeah,
Autism.
Autism Awareness
I thought you
Month.
said artisanal, and I'm thinking, is there cheese? Because that would be awesome.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fantastic.
Autism Awareness.
I think you're hungry. I think you're probably ready for dinner, huh?
Right? It is dinner time.
Autism Awareness, there's, you know, we have quite a few children in our community that's affected with it and everything. As a matter of fact, I even have a grandson as well, one of my grandsons. But it is Autism Awareness Month and all, and Autism and Awareness Month, and yes, you're right. And it is becoming more prevalent in our community these days, so that's why it's being a lot more emphasis being put on it. I don't know what it is, but anyway. For us, the buses, that's something I started fussing for buses years and years ago, and we've come a long way with our buses. On Highway, first we started Highway 50. I think we just got Highway 27. I think year before last, we finally got a leg from Four Corners up to this area, and we just completed one up to Leesburg now. Of course, Commissioner Shields is the one that used to work on that. I used to work very close with him getting these things done, and our next project was to try to do what the individual asked earlier, is try to get off of Highway 50 and Highway 27 and go into some of these communities. I do not know where we are with that, Mr. Van Wagner, but if you can check on that and get with our county commissioners and everything and see if we can do that. I know they did come back right now, the bus on 50, it goes up to the school and the library and the hospital and comes back out to 50. But especially with the new school center down here, the Lincoln Park Education Center, I don't see why we can't get it to come off of 50 right there behind the Winn-Dixie Plaza, and see if we need, as that continues, especially now with Lake Tech coming in there, make that a loop as well, and somewhere down in the downtown area, okay? But the bus is becoming, they're starting to ride it more and more. And another thing is when they did the one from Four Corners up here, when they go back to the Four Corners, it stays on the south side of the highway. It does not go back over to like King Ridge. They was supposed to be working out a situation where way they can go into King Ridge or whatever, instead of having to let people, if they was on the bus from King Ridge, put them on the side of the street and they have to cross over the street. So we need to look at doing that and see what we can do about altering that route for those in King Ridge along that. But I understand it's been very successful and it runs a certain time. But that one been in play for about 2 years now, and the one for going to Leesburg, they just started it. And I think that's going to be a big player for the Forward Commerce Plus, because it does make 2 or 3 stops in the Forward Commerce Plaza out there and letting people off of work. So we can look at that, but I totally agree. We need to do a little bit more for our bus service here in Clermont. Been one of the issues that's been step by step by step. I think you was on the county when I first started fussing about bus service years ago and everything. So, and it's been coming along. Talk about we talked. I attended the Chief Broadway going away as well, and I thank everyone for that attended that. We did a very good. They did a very good job, and I commend you, Mr. Van Wagner, and the city staff on putting that together in such a short notice. I think it was like a 2 or 3 week notice, or less than 3 week notice, that you was able to put that together, and it was very well attended and very well done. So again, thank you for that. We talked about the park, and we talked about it. I think that's pretty much it. But I'm gonna put in a plug for Chief Graysick. I was sitting there looking at them stars on his collar there, and I think he's wearing them well. I've been knowing Chief Graysick. He started here in 2005. Okay, I started working with him out there on the streets in 2007. So I've watched him grow, and he's come a long ways. And I know he was under the tutelage of Chief Broadway the whole time he's been here, and that's why Chief Broadway decided to make him deputy. Even I questioned that when he made him deputy chief over some of the other officers that had been there a lot longer than him. Okay, but I think personally, I think we can just go ahead and make him chief and move on down the road and everything. I think he'll do a very good job. He's a very dedicated young man and very good with the public out there and everything. So, and I know he has some good mentoring under Chief Broadway. Okay, so, but I just want to, hopefully we can sit back, encourage him, and give him all the help he needs. I know it's a little transition period there, and people are gonna have to do that, but let him know you support him. I don't support him, however, but I know he sent an email out to everybody and everything, and I told him, I truly support him, and hopefully he's gonna be our next chief, not interim. Okay, so, and that's all I have. Anybody else have anything?
No, thank you.
I think we asked all that. I think we took care of all the questions. Oh, one other question, Mr. Van White, one other thing, MSTU for the Wellness Way area. Can you get a report on that? I think when we had the workshop, I was asking for that to be completed by May, and I haven't heard anything where it's going on. The residents down there in the county was supposed to be getting together trying to work out something on that, okay?
Right.
But we need by June, is it June, Mr. War? June or July, we have to make a decision on that?
I don't know off the top of my head, Mayor.
I think we on a time frame. I think it may be July. We have to make a decision whether we're going to continue, reduce it, or whatever we're going to do. But it has to be done before either June or July. Let's check on that and make sure and see where we are with that, please.
Mr. Mayor and Mr. Van Wagner, when I was at the BCC meeting this morning, Mr. Fumasi spoke with the Board of County Commissioners, and if I understood it correctly, the next meeting between the Board of County Commissioners and the representatives from the community is April 22nd, and there is a Zoom opportunity for the members of the community who can't make it in person. So Mr. Fumasi had thanked the commission for having that meeting, so I think you'll probably get an update after the April 22nd meeting is my guess.
This the 22nd of the managers and commissioners or whatever meeting?
I believe it's between the commissioners and the residents of the Wellness Way communities.
Okay.
My understanding is it's a conflict for us that day.
Yeah, the 22nd. Well, I know I did see a notice the other day where we're going back to, well, we used to do managers and commissioner and all this meeting on every so many months, and I saw invite for that to come up. I think it's in May or June or somewhere in there, where we get invited, and that's more or less doing the JPAs, which is a issue you'll need to maybe start taking a look at, because they're trying to push the JPAs again, and that's they'll be inviting all us for conversation for that. So. But Wellness Way, MSTU, I think we have to take action on that and make a decision whether we're going to keep it, get rid of it, reduce it, or whatever we want to do. But after our workshop a couple months ago, I think we left it up to the residents and the county to go back and work on it and try to get us a reply before May is what I was hoping we could have something done before May so we can make a decision, okay? So we can find out where we are, please.
Just for clarification, we're not reducing it. We're either saying yes or no.
Well, we don't know. I mean, that's what I'm saying. They were supposed to be working on it and come back with a recommendation. I don't know, because as far as I'm concerned, we were going to just get rid of it, yes or no, and I think we leaned toward no, and they gave us some couple other options. They gave us 3 other options at the time.
Right.
Once we...
They're discussing looking at reducing it.
Reducing it, right.
Or extending out the time until it runs again. Yeah, so they're looking at different options at the county. I'm getting positive feedback from the community representative. Okay. He's feeling like they're listening and talking to one another.
Okay. Well, I know they were supposed to been having the discussions and getting back with us, and I just was asking that it be completed before May, about May or so we have time to look at it before a vote has to be taken. I think it's either June or July, no later than July at least, I think. All right. Nothing else? If nothing else, meeting adjourned.